Boom! Just like that. Gotta go over here. I don't really need this, do I? We'll wait and see. I can't wait no longer. What's up, everybody? Welcome. My guest's not here yet, but that's okay. I just can't sit here. So, what y'all doing? Get your questions ready. I don't know if he's going to take questions because we don't have a really long time because they have a premiere on their channel at 6:30, I think, something like that. Let me just see. Mm, yeah, it's got a premiere 7:30. I guess it's, I don't know, 7:30 his time, my time. I don't know. My clock says in 2 hours, which would mean 6:30. So yeah, but it's weird that it shows it as 7:30. But that's, I don't know, Central Time, I guess. Anyway, what's up? Homie, don't play that. Yeah, I don't play premieres. I don't do that. What's up, Eric? How are you? Tammy, Wigwag was here early, or yesterday, I think. He was here yesterday around 5 o'clock. Guess he couldn't wait. And Digger. That's it. That's all we got so far. 4 people. What's going on? What y'all do today? I didn't do nothing. Get back on track this morning, and that was it, man. Didn't do nothing else. See what I got on? Got my, what's it say? I don't know what it says. C Tracks Think Train. It's my Operation Lifesaver hat. That's what this is all about. Trains. Hey, Jeffrey. What's up? I'm uploading a video now of everything I bought from the train show. You bought a lot? I'm going to be shocked, huh? No, I doubt it, but try to shock me. Yo, Cosman, the rest and the rest of the Tangled Rail gang. Yeah, thought we were the train wreck gang. Cosman, make up your mind. You had a nice mail call earlier. Thanks. Yeah, I got some cool stuff. Got some cool stuff. Tammy, how long did it take you to graffiti that car you did today? Well, the video you made. How long did it take you to do that? Clean my glasses. So, I have 2 other friends that are railroad people, past and present, that showed interest in doing this. So, at least right for now, I have 2 more folks that I will have up, and they can share some stories and you guys can ask questions. Railroad related, nothing else, just railroad related questions. Uh, not what you ate for dinner or nothing like that. Just railroad stuff pertinent to what they're doing. Got some more stuff coming. Man, you buy more stuff than I buy groceries, Eric. I'm looking for. I was looking for you. I wasn't there, Jeffrey. Mailman Rail Fan was there. Yeah, there was a couple people there. I wasn't there. I wasn't going. A train show sucks for me. Today was $12. Yeah, I'm paying $12 to walk around that show. If you buy your ticket online, it's 11. You can save a buck, and if you buy it for tomorrow, you save a buck. So it's $10. I don't even think it's worth $10. OE said about 15 minutes. The nicer side 30. Okay. Oh, darn! I was going to ask about how fish breathe underwater. Uh, you'll have to wait until I have my aquarium friend on. How's that? It's magic how they do it. Yeah, I went to that show last year. You saw me do a live stream from that show. I do. I was done walking around in that show in less than an hour. I had to go back in to really force myself to buy something. Too many toys there. I'm not interested in toys. That show is really lame. The Oaks show is way better than that show. But you can't be too picky living in the small state of Delaware. That's what they do. Nightbot. I'm only trying to keep. Stop spamming with emojis. There you go, Eric. You're riling up Nightbot again. Stop spamming with emojis. That's funny. When was the Oaks show? January sometime. I think like the first or second. Well, I think it was the second weekend in January. Yeah, that's when I think it was. So it was the Oaks show, then a Timonium show, and then this show. Timonium show in April. Um, but I don't think they're that good. I don't know. Other people said they are. I don't. I don't think they're that good. The Timonium show in February and April. I don't know why they have two back to back like that. That's kind of stupid. But whatever. And Nightbot always catches you, Eric. You try to slide one in there, but he catches you. He's on the ball. I'll try the Oak one. Yeah, I think the Oaks one is a little bigger. Not that it's any better, but is it worth the ride for you? I don't know. You'd have to decide. Oh boy. Did you buy a lot of stuff? Man, 9 minutes. Where's my guest, man? He's not even down in the bottom there. He's not even in the green room with Rod Stewart. Kind of feel bad for making Rod Stewart sit there, but that's how it is. I really want to take Ray to the YouTube meet and greet. No, yeah, that would be pretty cool. But if he can't, he can't. There will be others. Totally was definitely worth the ride. Well, if it was worth the ride there, then it might be worth the ride to Oaks. I don't know. Mm, like I said, I didn't find much there. when I went there last time. Wasn't that great for me. That's interesting. What's up, Kyle Stevens? How you doing? I can do that here now. Look at that. There's Kyle Stevens. What's up, Kyle Stevens? Yeah, like I said, if you make it, you make it. You don't, you don't. Don't worry about it. It'd be expensive. It would be an expensive trip to go there. Gotta get a hotel for 3 days, maybe more. It'd be cool to go, but and then travel and sometimes it works better for others. What does? Yeah, I'm not used to this thing, doing this. It's not much for Kyle. Okay, going to the building, get some new tools. Came in today. Okay, sounds good. Tammy, you got to work on your camera. Don't hold your camera like this. Hold it this way. You see more. You're killing me. Ray's told you time and time again. Listen to Ray. So, anyway, man, what time is it? 4:47. Man, I hope he shows up. I don't know. He might be sleeping. What's up, Roy? Geez, if he doesn't show up, I'm going to have to make up stories myself about when I was on the railroad. uh, where you at, Container Man? God, you men are so bossy. Yeah, we are. Get used to it. Going to shows. Oh, um, I forget even what you said, Eric. I got to scroll back now. Sometimes it works out better for others. Yeah, I mean, just because I don't see something at a show and I say the show sucks, it sucks for me. Or it doesn't suck for you if you go. You know? It sucks for me. That's all. That's it. I couldn't find anything I wanted, you know? And when I go to a show, I'm like looking for something specific, usually, you know? Uh, um, I don't really like, I don't know. Sometimes I do buy things just off the spur of the moment, but not mostly. I'm looking for something that I want, or need, because otherwise I'd have so much crap like the rest of you people that have stuff everywhere. Not saying your stuff is crap, but just you know what I mean. I just have stuff everywhere. Now I'm not like that. I can't be like that. uh, I used to be at one time, but I can't be like that anymore. Will be listening in the background. What are you doing? It's more important than this, Steven. I can't even think of nothing. That's cherry on a good day, Tammy. What'd he say? Oh. What are you doing, Missouri? What are you doing, Roy? Are you working? Hanging out? What are you at the bar? What are you doing? You trucking? A train show? Your buddies? You guys gonna watch the football game tomorrow? The Chiefs and the Beagles? I don't really care about football. I do like Andy Reid, and yeah, I don't care who wins. Really don't. Actually, I would kind of prefer the Eagles not win, but we'll see tomorrow. Trucking. Don't you take the day off anytime, Roy? Let's help with that. Finishing workshop clean out under the stairs and crawl space. Who's going to see that, man? What do you got to clean that for? Who cares about that? Go football. Are you a Chiefs fan or an Eagles fan? Who you rooting for? Are you rooting for anybody or you don't care? Hey, guess what? Let me bring him up. Here he comes. What's up, Steve? You
Hello.
made it.
Yeah, I made it.
You had me worried.
Yeah. No, I made it. Just had to get a couple things done quick.
That's okay. How you doing?
Okay, it's been a busy day. Jenny was out catching some trains while I was busy doing YouTube stuff, catching up from yesterday.
Cool.
So, how are you doing?
Pretty good, man. Didn't do a darn thing, but back on track today.
There we go.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think we'll just wait a few minutes. You have something on in the background?
Yeah, do you hear it?
Yeah.
I have a fan on, but is that going to...
No. Okay. I didn't know if you had YouTube on or something like.
No, all I have is the fan on.
Yeah, we're talking football right now in the chat.
Yeah.
Do you watch football?
I used to.
Yeah.
A lot more hockey.
Okay.
I haven't got to watch any sports really lately because it's been so busy with the YouTube and other things. So.
Yeah. YouTube. It takes up a lot of time, man.
Yeah.
It can. Hi, Jenny. Yeah, practice holding your phone right, Tammy. It's not that hard. It's pretty easy. Stop pretending like you're on your phone all the time and just hold it that way.
There was a hot ore train leaving Fond du Lac right now with a Ferromex unit on it again. We already caught it once last week in the snow, but that'll be posted up Thursday. But Jenny might go back out for it again. I don't know.
Where's it going?
It's heading back south on the Canadian National. It's a hot taconite train from Duluth, the Iron Range of Minnesota, all the way down to the Gulf Coast.
So does it go by train or by boat?
Train. It's a new train. They're testing it out 3 years ago, and so far it's been working. So they run, I think, it was up to 6 trains. I don't know what the average is now, but so that's a hot train they get from Duluth to the Gulf Coast and load it on the ship to that way. They figured that was faster than going through the Great Lakes. So
yeah, I can see where it probably is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's cheaper. Hey, Lewis. But yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I saw somebody did a video about the piers where they unload the what is it? What do
the
they
ore
put
dock.
Yeah, the ore dock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, they are pretty cool. We want to get up to Upper Michigan on LS&I. They got the old green GEs, former Burlington Northern ones. I got to get up there, and I'm hoping to see them before they get rid of them. So they're still running those old GEs, the U-boats. So I'm looking forward to going up and getting them yet.
Zimmies, how you doing, man? Welcome. You're new. Never seen you. Must be a subscriber to Steve's.
Yeah, they're in the other room watching.
Oh, cool. That's funny. That's cool. All right, man. Let's get to it. We got 13 people. Steve, tell us a little bit about your background, what you did at the railroad, and let's hear
Good
it.
evening, everybody who joined us, and thanks again, Jerry, for having me.
Thanks for coming. I'm gonna do this.
I've always wanted to work for the railroad since I was a little tyke. Started with the Canadian Pacific Railway in 1994, and started out as a track laborer. First day on the railroad was Hastings, Minnesota, on a Canadian Pacific River sub, on a steel gang rail relay crew, and got to travel a little bit my first time out on the railroad. We worked 4 10-hour days, laid 1,400 foot strings of rail. Um, Pretty much worked the whole subdivision from across Wisconsin to St. Paul, Minnesota, and beautiful, beautiful subdivision on the CP up there along the Mississippi River. Spent a couple stints of my career on that rail gang. And then got to work the section crew here in Milwaukee. Got my section laborers date that fall of when I started. Worked with all the older Milwaukee road guys. So that was an honor to get trained through them. All the old ways of doing things on the railroad as far as the track department goes. I spent my whole career in the track department. And so then I was talked into getting my CDL at a very young age by all the older guys. And I just missed getting grandfathered in to get my CDL to be an assistant foreman or a foreman so I could drive the trucks. And that's what the qualifications were when I was assistant and foreman. So I went ahead and 25 years old, got my 24 years old, got my assistant foreman's date. No, actually, it was younger than that. Holy cow. I think it was 23. I got my assistant foreman's date.
So you were 3 years into the railroad, and you made assistant.
Yeah, actually, so it was, we had to work bidded jobs. So back then, with all the seniority, I didn't have much. And to hold a job year round, the older guys told me to get your CDL because you'll work longer. So I did. I was a young foreman. At 25, I got my foreman's date. I ran a 9-man tie crew, utility crew, maintenance gang, they called it. So we put ties in and stuff like that. One winter, I filled in for a foreman that ended up, unfortunately, having cancer. So I filled it in his position, and I was actually the youngest guy working that winter on the whole system. And I turned around and I told all my laborers, I had 4 of them, my track laborers at the time, and my assistant foreman, they all had a lot more years than I did. And I turned around, I stopped the truck, I said, hey, I want to learn from you guys. I said, if you got an easier way to do things, I want to learn from you guys. And after I said that, I gained a lot of respect from a lot of the older guys. It took me under their wing. And because I wasn't this, know-it-all kid, I wanted to learn. So I was all ears open. So I did the foreman's day. Back then on the seniority roster, it was so hard to work year round because you had a lot of older guys and stuff like that. But once the older Milwaukee Road guys started retiring and they didn't hire for a long time, the seniority roster really opened up. Now the guys that go in are getting track inspectors dates like under their first year on the railroad, and a lot of us older guys are like shaking our heads because where's the experience, So anyway, I ended up in 2001. I ended up working with my good buddy down in Sturtevant, Wisconsin. He conned me into coming over. It was a welding crew, 2 men, welder and welder foreman. So I got my welder's date on the railroad too in that time. So I spent a lot of time, and then we went a lot of fishing too on Lake Michigan. That was a lot of fun. So salmon fishing and stuff. So I spent a little time working down there on and off. So I got my welder's day. date. And then I was section foreman for a very long time at a location called Cudahy, Wisconsin, Cudahy section. So I ran a lot of the area on the CP in southeast Wisconsin and northern Illinois while I was section foreman here and there. I piloted while I was section foreman. I got to pilot rail grinders, rail detectors from Sperry, Herzog, all them kind of machinery. I got to pilot them when they came over our territories. So I spent a lot of time as section foreman, and I had a lot of guys that liked to work for me. The guys that didn't want to work didn't like working for me because I was trained as a go-getter. So I was a go-getter on the railroad. I was a pretty let's get it done foreman because that's the way I was brought up by the older guys. So that generation, you worked hard. So that's why I got mentored. And then in 2013, I got my track inspector's date on the CP Watertown sub in the yard. And then I moved over to track inspector on the Chicago-Milwaukee sub, the Hiawatha line between Milwaukee and Chicago. So that's a hot subdivision. But I loved it. I loved working the main line. It's higher paced, and I really liked that higher paced. Working in the yards just got bored sometimes, and just I don't know, the fast pace of the high speed main line. I really enjoyed it. So
main line's important.
Yeah, I mean basically all the railroads important, but yeah, the main line is a lot more critical because things can happen bigger because they go faster. So then I unfortunately developed some health issues that I was born with, and I had to have another open heart surgery. I had one when I was 7, and to repair a leaky valve, and they had to repair the valve almost 4 years now. And the railroad unfortunately won't allow me back because I'm on the blood thinners and they don't want to risk me bleeding out. I was working by myself as a track inspector. So I got 25 years of service, 25 years of pension. So
it's a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long time. I wish the heart valve could have waited another 5 years or I got my full 30. But at least a lot of the older guys say at least you got 25, out of it. So at least you got that much out of it. So
some people don't even get that, right?
Right. So I was grateful, and I'm alive. So, and I'm enjoying life, and I'm still enjoying the hobby. I was a rail fan way back when, in my kid days. I loved railroading back then, and it's in my blood, and I can't get away from it. So, guys like you, and I like to give a shout out to Dave, CCRX 6700. All them guys gave me the opportunity to open up new doors for me, including you, Jerry, to really talk about railroad, because I'm still young yet and I miss it. As far as the work and the people, I miss it, the job that I did. But I get to still talk about it and share with everybody, my experiences and my stories and a lot of stuff that happened. So that's kind of my background. And then my beautiful wife, Jenny, and I, started off YouTube. We got StormySkys Rail Production started in 2017. And
how'd you come up with that name?
Well, a guy named Skip Voros, he was a Skywarn president, Skywarn's president here in Milwaukee. Him and I were great friends, father figure. Him and I created this name together, and unfortunately he passed away. And he was hoping that name would really thrive, because it rolled off your tongue. So
Right.
and it did. So we were happy with it. And last year, for a number of people that really supported us, really launched this channel off. We've been very busy. We've been having fun with it. We've been meeting a whole new bunch of people. It's been great. This
Right.
YouTube platform has been very, very good. So we, Jenny and I really took off with it, and then we got Dave Nitch, our other person that helps us with YouTube. He takes videos, and he does a lot of notifications and answers questions and all that kind of stuff. So he's in the background also helping us a lot. So
Right.
we're in it for a team. It's a team effort, so we really enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a lot of questions written down for you.
Okay, I'll try to answer everything in this session. We might have to have another session. When I was riding along with CCRX last year at a coal mine out in Pennsylvania, there was so much to do, so much to say,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I didn't have enough. We didn't have enough time. I should have spent the whole week with them. So if we have to do another session, we have to do another session.
These really aren't questions. It's just there's no questions here. It's just off the cuff. It's just like whatever comes into my head, people's head in the chat, and you can share whatever you want. Just real quick. So just real quick, touch on young rail fans out there and how they should conduct themselves around the railroad.
Well, me being a railroader and speaking for many railroaders, I got a guy like me has seen both sides,
Right.
of the spectrum. A good thing is have a safe attitude, very safe. The thing of it is, I got just tons of stuff I could bring up, and I might forget some, and I might remember later.
That's fine. I mean,
one important
quick,
thing, one of many important things is do not get that close to the tracks, due to the fact that us railroaders, when we get close to the track, we need protection. FRA mandates us having protection, even us going on the tracks and working, or even around the tracks. We need positive train protection, and make sure we have our rules and stuff in place. So the young rail fans out there nowadays, a tip: if you ask to do something, you're going to get more with asking than you are just saying, hey, I can do whatever I need to do.
Right.
I mean, you're going to go a lot further with asking, like we used to do in your generation, Jerry, my generation. We always asked, and we got a lot. And somebody might say no. Well, at least you asked, and you're not going to get in trouble for asking.
Yeah.
Another thing is, a lot of the guys might get spooked, including engineers, conductors, that the young rail fans that like to wear vests all the time, due to the fact that a lot of contractors illegally follow the tracks to get work done so they don't have to pay for a flagger. And if they see an orange vest or a lime vest, they're going to honk the horn. They have to. And some of them might be spooked and throw that train in emergency in a certain case. And then you're causing a whole bunch of trouble. So there's all sorts of different scenarios in that. Just keep your eyes and ears open. Situational awareness is the biggest part. They cram that in our heads in our safety meetings like crazy. Even us railroaders, we get complacent sometimes, not thinking because we're so focused on the job, and something might not go right. You need situational awareness. I have seen trains that go by, and I've had to report trains that have dragging equipment on. Some of that banding can be flying. And if you're standing too close, some of that material can actually hurt you seriously or kill you. So you
Yeah.
have to be on the lookout.
Yeah. So just to touch back, when the MOW crews are working on the track, the train crew knows they're out there, right? So that's one of the things. They see somebody out there in an orange vest, or just see somebody close to the tracks. They're thinking the worst things, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's not safe. So
That
safety is one big thing, right? It's a
yes,
huge thing.
and people have to remember it's it's unfortunately not just rail fans, but anybody who gets killed, suicides, anybody that just does not affect
Yeah.
the individual. It affects their family, and it really affects a lot of the train crews. Um,
Sure.
I'll give you guys a couple examples of that. Is the crew actually ended up? I think the engineer ended up on disability. We had in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, on the CP Watertown sub one year. We had a young kid. I think he was 9 or so. He was really young. He had his hood up on his sweatshirt, earbuds, didn't no situational awareness at all. Walked right through the crossing, and the gates were down already, and the train crew could do nothing about it, and he got killed. I mean, the train crew was so distraught by that. So they have to go for counseling stuff too, and each crew handles things differently. Obviously,
Sure.
each person's different.
Yeah.
We had another, and this is when I was section foreman. We had a curve on the Chicago Milwaukee sub called. We ended up. A lot of guys nicknamed it Suicide Curve. We had 5 suicides in that curve in one year. 2 young girls um, ended up holding hands right on the switch, and Amtrak was coming around at 79 mile an hour. They held hands and looked at the engineer right in his eye to eye. There's nothing he could do. He threw it in
Yeah.
emergency and killed. He was retired medically, I think, too, as far as what I can remember.
So here's Jeff. Jeff says he wears a vest for safety around the tracks. Yeah, but it goes back to what Steve said when the train crew knows that the maintenance away guys, they're out there working between here and here, between milepost this and milepost that. And when they see somebody in an orange vest by the tracks that's not where they're supposed to be, then it sets off alarms in their head. So you might think it's safe. And yeah, you're being safe, but at the same time, the train crew doesn't know why you're there.
Well, and exactly, and
Yeah.
at first, if they're coming around a curve at high
Yeah.
speed, and I've heard this from crew members too, that if all of a sudden they think it's a contractor, they don't know what to expect, and do they have equipment? I mean, I've had to get called out, and we have to call our company police officers too when we see contractors illegally working on the tracks, and it's a fine line. I know
Yeah,
people want to be safe as far as vests and stuff, but it can spook the train crews also.
for sure. Because it goes back. It's just like you know a cop doesn't want to shoot you, and the last thing he wants to do is pull his gun, but at the same time, he doesn't want to die, right? So it's like a split-second decision that you need to make as an engineer: go into emergency or just keep continuing. So
Now, if I'm trackside now, I don't wear vests and stuff unless I'm actually on the CP property, because I still go back to my headquarters and visit and stuff. And if I happen to go, I got all my PPE still being retired, medically retired. I still got all my PPE. Another thing is I will wear a vest if I'm on a bridge filming straight down because I got the traffic up above. I'm not
yeah,
really,
vehicle for
but
vehicles. Yeah,
what I'm
that's
talking about,
yeah,
if you're 50 feet away from the track and you have a vest on, that's fine. But these guys that go right up to the track and need that head-on shot all the time,
Yeah.
when you're that close, you really got to be careful. That's all I'm saying. I'm not telling anybody what to do.
No,
Just keep
nobody
it in
is.
mind. You know,
It's use common sense when you're out there, right? You're not a railroad worker. There's no need for you to be wearing a railroad vest. So you got any good stories? Maintenance away stories,
well,
derailment stories?
yeah. You know what? I want to touch base on a couple other safety
Yeah.
issues. So, um, I don't, throughout my career, especially at the end, we've noticed, the crews and I have noticed the just ignorance of the public, um, walking around the track and everything, no situational awareness. They one time we were high railing, one of the one main track and two main track. We had two main tracks where we were going. We were set on one main track heading westbound to go fix a spot a few miles up the road, track, location. And my crew and I, my section crew and I, was section foreman back there. We were bending around a huge curve, and all of a sudden, my assistant foreman Jim says, "What the heck is this?" So I looked up, and it was a kid walking down the other main track, the adjacent main track, going the other way. So he was facing us. We were going one way. He was facing us. So he had his back turned to whatever would have been coming eastbound. So anyway, I stopped it. I put the truck in reverse. So I rolled down the window and I said, "Excuse me, you have to get off the tracks." I said, "If something comes around this curve before you hit it, before you hear it and turn around, you're going to be gone." So we made sure he got off the track. What we did not know is, actually, no kidding, 2 minutes later, here comes an eastbound freight on the other main that would have hit him. So we're like, wow, we were at the right place at the right time there. So
Yeah.
it's just, people have to be so careful of and respect the railroads. And you might think, yeah, I know it all about the railroads, but you know, you always got to be situational awareness and safety of your surroundings, because just like
Anything can
that,
happen. Yeah.
it can happen. Even us railroad workers, it can
Yeah.
happen. I had
Anything.
foul time. I had foul time at DePlainville, Wisconsin, where the Canadian National crosses us, at the CP, and this was back in the late '90s, and that's when OTS rules just came out, '96, on track safety rules for us, roadway workers. And we needed foul time, which is, the signals are all blocked up and nothing can come through until I release the time. Well, I was section foreman at the time, filling in, actually. My foreman was on vacation, so I was filling in for a couple weeks. Well, the other crew came out to help us tighten bolts and do some other maintenance work on the diamond at the Plainville. Well, all of a sudden, luckily we weren't set on the track. We were doing it all off track. And just like that, here comes the Wisconsin Central train at the time, flying right through my fall time. And the other foreman said, "Steve, I thought you had fall time on all my tracks." I said, "Yeah, I did." So I went in the truck and called the dispatcher up. I'm like, "I thought we had fall time on all my tracks." And he's, "Oh, SHIT, So he ended up taking himself out of service because he knew, human error. I mean, there's a couple close calls that, that piece of paper is not going to save you. And it can happen really quick, even not us railroad workers. Things can happen.
Sure.
That's why jet rail fans aren't immune to it, just like us railroaders aren't even immune to it working our own jobs.
Yeah. So up at the top is a pinned message with StormySkys channel. Go check him out and watch his videos. So I have a question. Just rail fanning now. Do you rail fan where you used to work?
Once in a while. Yeah, once in a while, but
Not really.
Not really.
I'm talking those lines that you used to work on.
Yeah, I do. I rail fan there before the CP Holiday train, which I wanted to go get, because I go down there to visit coworkers yet. I'm
Okay.
still allowed on the property to visit coworkers and stuff.
So
I'm
you,
medically
yeah.
disabled.
So you really don't rail fan that area.
I I don't, but I do occasionally. I would like to get out more
Yeah.
on the old territory in the old property there. And I like getting back to Sturtevant once in a while and say hi to everybody, and you know, get the latest and greatest news and stuff like that. I still miss, seeing the coworkers and stuff at times.
Sure.
So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Now, would you guys go out on derailments?
yeah, unfortunately, I've had to work a lot of derailments, but nothing like a waffle pancake type
Right.
derailment where there's 40 cars and stuff. I fortunately didn't have to work on them types, but I have worked on derailments in a yard before, and we had a couple on the main line that weren't too bad, but
Yeah.
they were. We had a situation. My foreman was on vacation on that week of July 4th back in '97. Um, so I was acting foreman that day on the 3rd of July, and it was just a section labor and and I know my coworker is probably watching this, so he probably remembers this from that day. Um, anyway, so I got a report of a train called in, or no, the dispatcher called a train that just passed our location eastbound and through Brookfield, Wisconsin, and he says, we got a report of one of your wheels missing. I don't know, some officer called and blah, blah. So I got on the radio and I contacted the dispatcher. I says, well, this and that. And I said, we can go check out. And so he told the train, I don't know if you guys want to wait until Milwaukee or stop and check it out. Conductor, well, maybe we stop in Milwaukee, but the dispatcher said, no, I think you better check it out here. Luckily he did, because quarter of the wheel broke, and they went about 8 miles with a quarter wheel missing.
Well, that's
And
good.
we don't know how it stayed on that long, but so we ended up working late that night, and so we had to put all new rail anchors on and stuff. Luckily, that was the only thing. But then we had to go out and get the wheel from the Plainville, Wisconsin area and high rail it all the way down to the car department in Milwaukee. So on the way back, we watched the 3rd of July fireworks at Milwaukee while we were high railing back. So that was good.
Yeah.
That was one derailment. Next one was my last derailment. I ended up working a couple days straight just because of our shift. We didn't have hours of service. We don't in our department. I was ready to go home that night. I was track inspector, ready to go home, and they derailed in the yard in Milwaukee at the crossovers, and Hulcher came, and I decided to stay and help, and worked all through the night and stuff. So that was my last one, but nothing major
Right.
that piled up and waffled. Knock on wood for that. So
There's probably what derailments in the yard every day, right?
not like there used to be.
Yeah.
They really upgraded that Muskego yard in Milwaukee over my career. When I started, it was just a lot of Milwaukee road track you're working on and a lot of
Yeah.
mismatched stuff, and you had to dig all the way down to the base of the rail to get to the spikes, and then all of a sudden they went through and replaced a lot of the tracks and the switches, and actually there's hardly any derailments in the yard anymore. So
So that goes back to good maintenance, right? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, they really made a lot of improvements in the '90s. I worked a lot of overtime in projects in the late '90s around here on the Canadian Pacific. They really upgraded a lot of track up here.
Do you ever think though that the class ones will go to concrete ties?
Some of them started. I mean, there's a lot of them that do, like Union Pacific and
Really?
the BNSF. A lot of curves out west, or a lot of mainline tracks. You see them all over. I can't I don't know if we use. I know for a fact that this was a few years ago when I was still there. We didn't have concrete ties down here in the States. We had they experimented with steel ties in the yard for a while at Mosquito. Those were garbage. Those didn't hold
Steel.
surface or yeah, it were steel ties. They had a
Wow.
hollow center. They just didn't hold up the surface great. So they ended up renewing the switches real quick after, and then went back to wood. So I didn't have any experience with concrete, so we didn't use them in my career
I
around
wonder
here.
what made them try steel for ties. That's
Thought they
crazy.
were better surface. I know they were indulging in not our railroad, but I don't know. Maybe we did too up in Canada, but I'm not sure. Indulging in plastic ties. Uh, that I haven't heard about that in a long time, so it might have not worked well. I don't know
Right.
when they did testing, but I don't know. We frowned on that when we heard about that. We're like,
Yeah.
plastic ties, really? Okay,
Plastic. Yeah.
yeah, mm, I guess.
Anything's possible. Yes, they want to get rid of plastic bottles and recycle.
My favorite job on the railroad, and I got good at it. And the other guys taught me this, and I got really. It's an art form. I loved spiking, and I got the windmill spike really well, and I loved it. And when I first started, the guys taught me how to double windmill. So you had your other guy on your opposite side, and you're on this side, and you're taking turns windmilling it in. I had such a blast doing that. That was great. That was fun.
It's like a
So
game, huh?
yeah, it was great. I got to learn. I got really good at spiking. So one job I couldn't stand, I was not good at it, was knocking on rail anchors, especially when they were brand new. Even a lot of your bigger guys had trouble when they weren't stressed. And so especially what's called the fair anchor, the single latch, the I had such trouble. So using a 10-pound sledge. So I said, you know what? I started using a 16-pound sledge, knocking them things on when we had a lot of anchors and that kind. I couldn't stand them banging off all the time on me. So I used a 16-pounder, and you got them on then. So it was a heavy hammer, but you got them on. So
Yeah. So Jeff had a question. What's top speed for freight and passengers out on your line?
60 for intermodal stack, 79 for Amtrak, and 50 for regular freight.
So you
And
guys had
that's not in all places. That's
no
just the
right.
average.
Just overall, you guys had Amtrak traveling through your territory.
Yeah, we have that at the Empire Builder, um,
Oh,
the
wow.
famous late number 8. There's a lot of times in my career that I saw Amtrak 8 twice in one day, um, and then Amtrak 7, and then all the scoots between Milwaukee and Chicago, all the Hiawatha trains I see on my territory. The Chicago Milwaukee subdivision was the hottest subdivision to work at the time here in this part of the region. And I still got all my on-time performance hats from Amtrak when I first started. Keeping all the Amtraks on time, we all got hats for it. So I still got all my hats. We got
Well, that's
5 of
cool.
them. So
So freight had priority.
no,
Amtrak did.
Amtrak did. Amtrak does. Now we got a new stack train that was developed back in, I think it was, I can't remember what year exactly it started. It's one. They changed our train numbers at CP, so I'm not familiar with the new train numbers yet. But it used to be 198 and 199, the two hottest stack trains that went through this region. And you better stay clear of them because
That's
they were the
fine.
hottest trains. And if you delayed them, you got on the red carpet and blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. So
Not good,
those
right?
were the two hot stack trains you better not ding. So,
Right.
but Amtrak's, yeah, they were hot, you know, they're hot on the Chicago Milwaukee sub, especially the commuter train. So,
Yeah, I bet. Oh, that's cool. Uh, any good stories? What like I don't know. Share a story. I don't.
We saved we saved a lot of animals that first year I was on the rail gang up in on the river sub. A bunch of ducks. Ducklings were trying to cross the track, and we dug crib holes to try to get them to the other side, and it was that was kind of cool too. But I oh so well one time it's kind of funny, but I know some people might think it's not, but we were at some kid was throwing rocks down at the rail grinder one time, and I was on the back end of it at that time, spraying the waters out. I got to ride the back end of it when it was on our territory. So I had a big water cannon hose, you know, we were putting out fires. So this kid was, I mean, teenager, older teenager was shooting rocks, and I was told by the track inspector at the time, hey, look out on the rear end of that train on the grinder for a kid. I seen him. He was getting ready to throw one, and I launched that water cannon up on the bridge and sprayed the heck out of him. He ran and never came back. Um, and then the same time, same year, we had the rail grinder at night, and I love the rail grinders at night. Um, is we used to get chased down by the fire department. Um, hey, your train's on fire! Your train's on fire! And we would just wave at them. Okay, thank you. You know, they always think our train's on fire, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's just a grinding, right?
One safety item that all rail enthusiasts need to be aware of. You still can film rail grinders. I do every chance I get. However, be careful, situational awareness, because I seen an episode happen where they had their guards down on the rail grinder and they were grinding, and one of the Loram crew trucks was parked about maybe an eighth, maybe a half a football field away, and all of a sudden a grinding wheel blew up. Because sometimes they do, they wear out underneath the guards, and
Right.
this sucker blew up at a point where one of the chunks got out of the guards and went to the truck, and you could see a big dent in the truck. So just be aware of rail grinders. Everybody loves them. So do I. I'm not going to lie. I love filming them things. But just be extra careful when you're around them, that, you know, watch to make sure that you're aware of if something flies off, or, you know,
Yeah,
that
you never know, right? Yeah.
anything can happen.
Heath wants to know, what is a rail grinder? What is a rail
Well, a rail grinder is a now we have a couple videos on our channel, StormySky, under maintenance away, of what the rail grinder does in machinery. What it does is grind. We got they got two different kind of rail grinders. They got a big rail grinder with many cars, and then they got a smaller rail grinder. And so the big rail grinder grinds the head of the rail and the inside and the profile. It's supposed to prolong your rail life, grinding all the burrs off and compliance and all that stuff. They got just technical readings on it. So they go through maybe a few times a year on the railroad and grind the rail or whatever needs grinding. A lot of tonnage, a lot of tracks move a lot, and
Sure, yeah. I mean, people would think,
burrs and
right?
rail peel. Train cars peel rail when they go around the curves, and you got all sorts of different things that come in play. So a rail grinder has a multiple heads of grinding wheels, and they go down and they grind the rail, and they got computers that judge all this. So the big grinder grinds curves and tangent track. Tangent is straight track. Those grind, that big one grinds them. The switch grinder is a lot more pain in the rear end to work with, because we had to they grind through the switches, and you have to do the straight sides and the turnout sides. So you got to ask the dispatcher a lot of track time to get through crossovers and stuff. But then they also grind railroad crossings. So they grind across. That's called the switch grinder. You got the mainline grinder, which has the big option. Then you got the smaller option, which is the switch grinder. We call it, and they call it, and that grinds crossings and switches, turnouts. Then they tie in where the big grinder leaves off. They got profile charts and all that stuff. Now, I also piloted, I hope that answers your question. Please check out the couple videos under Maintenance Away playlist on our channel. That'll give you a good explanation of what the rail grinders do. We have one video during the day, one video at night. I'm hoping next time they come around, they grind at night again, especially with snow on the ground. I want to get out and catch that during the snow when it's grinding. So,
probably.
Can
you answer that question there?
Well, you just get a lot of flow on the rail, and it wears out after time. Tourist railroads and Class 1 railroads are different because Class 1 railroads run a heck of a lot more tonnage. And the more tonnage you run, the more your track wears out. So,
right. Believe it or not, the track is wearing out. And it needs to be resurfaced and, keeps the train rolling.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that answers this question. A lot of other questions I get here and there is another thing another piece of equipment I piloted, and they always put me on that rail detector, Sperry rail detector. It X-rays the rail. It's a sonar operator used to do it hands-on, but then we got the Sperry and Herzog. I wonder how often they grind the rails on the NEC. Must not be a lot. I have no idea what other railroads grind or what they do. It depends upon the rail wear and all that stuff, how many times a year they grind. So Sperry Rail Services did our rail testing for a long time. I got so good at piloting that rail detector over our territory, I got it in and out in a hurry, that they always threw me on that thing to pilot it all the time. And I'm like, okay, really? Okay, I'll do it. I guess I still hold the record of most rail miles tested in one day on our territory. I still hold that record, so I'm proud of it, I guess. I still hear that now, so
how many miles was your territory?
Okay, so I had up to, when I was Cudahy section foreman, we had 104.2, which is on a CP Watertown sub, to at the time 73 milepost 73. It was double track, including a Milwaukee depot, which had 7 tracks. That was my territory on a section. However, when we had to pilot machinery or something, we went through the whole the track maintenance supervisor's territory. So then, pretty much when I was track inspector, pretty much we could work anywhere from 104.3 to 32.3, round out Illinois. Just south of Abbott Laboratories. Roundout Tower was and I wished I would have kept copies of that. I had to go up the Roundout Tower. I'm diverting a little bit here. I had to go up the Roundout Tower to get my TGBOs, my track bulletins a lot. And then I sat on the south yard there at Roundout, and then that's where Metra ended, and we began. That used to be the Milwaukee Road all the way down, but then Metra took over when the Milwaukee Road got rid of it. I think it was in 85. I'm thinking. I can't remember off. That was before me. So we still own parts of Roundout in the south yard and stuff. So I had to sit on always at Roundout. But the great train robbery story at Roundout Tower, we had newspaper clippings. I should have took pictures and stuff. now it's boarded up. I guess it's still boarded up. I haven't been down there in a while. So and so that we went from 32.3 to 104.3. That a lot of my career. That's where our territory was. That's where the track maintenance supervisor's territory, or roadmaster at the time they called them. That's when they had that territory. So we pretty much stayed in that whole region, on our bidded jobs and stuff like that. And
So
then
you probably knew that territory really well.
yeah, I did know it very well, and I still know it very well.
Right.
That stuff. Once you learn how to ride a bike, it's all new.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, things change all the time. New control points are put in and stuff. But I mean, so getting back to the Sperry rail detector, it X-rays the rail. It ultrasounds it, and it finds defects that the human eye can't see, such as hidden webs and all that kind of stuff. So then we have to go behind it, and when we find defects, we'd have to change it, stuff like that. So we had to change the rail behind to what they found and stuff like that. So they found a lot of them back then. So I used to pilot the SRS detector cars, which are on track cars. They still run them here and there. That they don't set off; they just stay on track. It's a bigger buggy type, unit. And then they went to what we call the bread trucks. That's what we call them because they look like bread trucks.
Oh, yeah.
Sperry went with them, and Herzog did too. We used Herzog a little bit at the end. So we ended up getting them to use where you could set on and off the track easier. So
Does CP have geometry cars that they throw into trains?
oh yeah. Yeah, we have our own geometry car, a tech train, or what we call it, the overtime maker. We always, as soon as we heard that thing was coming, we're like, okay, break the plates. We're going to be late that night, So they wanted all the slaughterers off right away behind it. And that was our overtime, a lot of overtime. So, yeah, they're neat trains, but and I got to ride the FRA tech car also, the FRA inspection car. I got to ride out when I was track inspector. That was a pretty interesting car. We had the FRA ride along with us track inspectors every once in a while to make sure everybody's complying with the rules and stuff. So, and you'd see them on the property ever so often. We had some really cool FRA inspectors on our territory. We had decent ones. I mean, so we really, enjoyed it when they gave us tips and stuff of, what we should do different or whatever. So we were all open arms with them. We didn't give them any harassment or anything. So
Was what they had to say pretty much the way you had to do things?
they recommended it, yeah. But however, CP, the Canadian Pacific, took their rules one step further. We followed FRA rules, the FRA standards book. Okay, that FRA comes out with, but we had our own book called the Red Book, and our track standards were actually above the FRA, so they actually expected a little more out of us than the FRA would. So that was good, though. I mean, it's good because then we get to keep the track better condition.
Right.
And then just going, whatever they want. We're a higher standard.
So something like Randall said, they had two passenger cars in the train. So CSX does the same thing. But
We do too.
Something else I found CSX does is they have a box car that they put in the consist, and it's a geometry car that
they have different forms now compared to even when I left. They have different forms of it now. Everything's evolving so fast in technology. We had a contraption on our geometry car also that actually tests under load. So it actually it tests under load the maximum loads and stuff they go. So if they push the gauge out too far on a curve, let's say that curve is getting a little wide, then they signal an alert, and then an urgent spot or a not so urgent spot where you got 30 days to fix it, or if it's urgent, you guys got to fix it, get on it right away. Then we have to gauge that spot around the curve or maybe even tangent track. But no, a lot of times they'd find them in a curve or crossing or something.
So,
Then, huh?
so something in that instance, right, where it's recording a defect at this exact spot. How do you find that? Do they give you like a
We
GPS coordinate, longitude,
well,
latitude, or
Well, in the old days, well, not the old, not so old days, but back when I started, and for a very long time, we had track geometry charts. They used to give us books, so we got books that we had to keep in our section headquarters. Each foreman did, and we have books that they have track charts, and they have urgent spots typed out, and approximately what mileposts and all that stuff.
okay,
But then they went to the then they gave us GPSs to use at
okay,
the last. I want to say since the mid 2000s, late 2000s, we started using GPS. Well, at the start of the GPS, it was like it was hard. It was hard to get adjusted because a lot of times the GPS would it'd be wrong at first because it was all new and stuff. At one point, my supervisor told his boss, "Okay, this defect we found is not where it is because we have a something with the angle bar, a
right,
track joint bar, and this is welded rail, so it's not where it was supposed." So, a lot of
yeah, things
stuff to
evolve.
work out,
Yeah,
and that happens with everything. So,
sure. Yeah, things evolve. Any other stories come to mind? Anybody have questions?
um, I have lots of stories,
I know it's hard to
lots of
pick one,
things.
right?
I know there's a lot of fascination with, and I've done this, and actually I've was on the crew where he lost a thermite weld, and that's not fun because he had to change out a new rail. Um, I got the thermite weld, which is a lot of people are fascinated by that. And it's an interesting but dangerous process. We had actually a guy, an employee got killed up in Canada one year. Um, he threw the crucible into a body of water, and it
Oh
actually
wow, blew
exploded,
it. Yeah,
and ended up back at him and killed him. Uh,
wow.
so after that, the new safety rules got put out where we had to bury the crucibles by the track and stuff like that. We had to watch what we did with them after that. So a lot of learning experience with situations. Um, we had what's called a lookout protection. Um, that was one of the options for track onset on track safety rules back in '96 when on track safety rules got mandated by the FRA and rolled out to us roadway workers. And so we started using lookouts. Well, at first, a lot of employees, including myself, had a hard time standing there watching other people work. I mean, we're looking out and we're looking. Your job is the most important job on that designated crew is being a lookout, and you have to stay so focused and not wander off and start thinking. You have to be focused because you're constantly looking each way, and all of a sudden there's a train coming, and you have to have enough sight distance to have a lookout. First of all,
Yeah,
but once you say lookout, you tell your crew hot rail. That was the signal. Hot rail, guys. That means clear off the track. And
right.
a lot of lookouts got and one lookout up on a part of the railroad, not down here, but up along the line, was a roadway worker and wasn't paying attention, and they were blowing out switches, and they were sending cars down, or hump switching, I think, up there, and he got killed. Not because he was helping out the employee that was cleaning switches out and not being a lookout like he was supposed to. So
Right.
that was all painful learning experiences through this OTS situation. Nobody wants deaths. Nobody, not nobody,
Really.
because that affects a lot of people
Sure.
in many ways.
Yeah. It's not
Um,
just one person.
okay, the buffer car. I see that. I see that question. The buffer car. I was in the operating department. I was in the track department all my career. But a buffer car is to, if there's something that happens with a flammable train or hazardous train between the crew and that hazardous train, there's a buffer car in between, so that
Right.
gives enough time or reaction to the train crews to get off their train or do whatever they have to do to get out of the way. Or
Yeah.
now, if I'm wrong on that, some train crew member can
I think
correct
you're
me on
right.
that.
Yeah.
But
It's a safety thing.
it's a safety aspect. Now, a lot of your new tank trains, and I forgot, Jenny knows about this. I forgot. Uh, uh, these new tank trains that are coming out, they don't have to have buffer cars because of a certain non-flammable oil or something they carry. So we got a lot of questions on our videos. How come they don't have buffers and this and that? So, um, but so I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, and the do not hump car. I know CSX runs that do not hump box car, and that is the geometry car.
Yeah.
That they usually put it. I see it a lot on the stack trains, the intermodal trains. It'll be right after the engine,
Mm-hmm.
and I always I always see it, and I just never paid it much mind. And then I looked into it a little bit, and it's a geometry car that CSX uses. I don't
Yeah,
know if other railroads use it, but
no, I think Canadian National has something similar to that. I've seen it,
okay,
and they have air repeater cars also on the Canadian National. I personally, yeah, I don't. We didn't have those type. Now we did have another situation at the end of my career, which was a pain in the rear for us track inspectors because an high impact sensor on some of the train wheels, on some of the locomotive wheels. And if they hit a certain impact stuff, we had to go out and look at the spot and stuff like that. And a lot of times they're false or not in the right spot or and you get home from working a day and right when you walk in the door you have to get back out and go look at it. And this would happen like sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. It was a pain. Easy call, but it was just a lot of okay, really? I mean, sometimes they did catch something good. I mean, don't get me wrong, but a lot of times, I don't know. A lot of us older guys on the railroad feel that nothing can really replace the human eye. I mean, they got their tech cars, they got all this, which is nice in a way. Don't get me wrong, it's nice. There's stuff that we can't see, but on the other hand, you still need a human eye.
sure. Now, job as a track inspector. What is it like? What is your
Thank you
job?
very much, Randall Elson, for filling that in. Thank you. Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead, Jerry.
thanks, Randall. What's your job as track inspector? You walk track? How do you do that? Like,
Yeah, yeah. So when I was in the yard on the West End track inspector, I was in charge of the yards in Milwaukee. Um, I had the main line from the cutoff, which was 87, 87.3 to 104.2. That was my main line territory. Then I had all of the yards in Milwaukee. I had to do a switch inspection every 30 days, turnout inspections every 30 days. I had to walk the yard tracks every 30 days. And because it was the class of track that we were on, I had to patrol the main line twice a week, or more if weather was bad or stuff like that. There's certain conditions that you had to inspect more, but twice a week on the main line. and once a calendar month in the yard, walking on the tracks and testing your switches out, throwing them, and all that kind of stuff.
So
And then when I was on the main line, I had more main line than I did yard, so I had less walking to do. I had more truck ride time in the truck. I had 87.3 to 32.3 round out. So
when you're inspecting mainline, how do you do that in the truck?
your eyes, after doing it for so long and having a lot of experience, your eyes get trained and your ears get trained for certain senses. Your senses really come into control. You can tell. You can tell if a train's going by and something doesn't sound right. Let's say you're on the ground inspecting a train, and you're looking over. Oh, that doesn't sound right. One time I did that, and it was a broke. We had an open joint, two broken bolts. The joint was open. It was pounding a little harder. So your ears and your eye, your senses get trained to that. So when you're going down the track, you're going over at restricted speed, going over turnouts, making sure all the bolts are in, all that stuff. And then any deviations in the track when you're riding along. And if something doesn't look right, if it looks more spread apart or low or anything like that, if something doesn't look right, you stop the truck, you get out and look and stuff like that. It's just regular things that you do.
Right.
What you're expected of in the book, the FRA expects you to do and stuff like that. So a lot of overtime. It's a lot of experience, more or less.
Sure. Yeah. It's nothing that you can just pick up on job.
They think you can. They think you can. Some people think you can, but you can't. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it is with everything, right? Now back to when you were talking about animals and safety. I saw a piece on CP where they were doing they had special sound makers or something that they put on the track that kept animals off the track because in certain spots, you get grain trains that go through and they leak and animals cross the track, hang out on the tracks. And it's pretty interesting. And I think it's probably because of probably the amount of big animals that are up in Canada.
Oh, moose.
Yeah,
moose. That's what they're. We heard from a lot of the Canadian managers that came down and gave our safety classes and stuff. We heard a lot of stories from up there. And you know what? That part of our railroad, the Canadian Pacific up in Canada, is a lot more rugged than down here because we were told the Canadian Rockies are a lot more treacherous than our Rockies down here. So it's a lot more rugged up there, a lot more dangerous. And then, we heard a lot of stories about animals and all sorts of stuff up there. So,
yeah. It was pretty interesting on the lengths that they went to protect the wildlife in the area that the tracks were on. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and then down here too, in the yards of Milwaukee, we always had to have Hulcher come in and use the vac truck all the time to pick up open grain doors or something that get opened or stay open.
That was the question I was going to ask you because you had that short that you posted today about the vac truck. What's going on with the vac truck? Where do they
go? There's the vac truck, a smaller version of the vac train, they call it. The vac train is a bigger type. It's a bigger piece of machinery that can be found in the link, I guess, to that video, shorts video. It's one of our Saturday premieres, Maintenance Away. We have a whole bunch of different maintenance away machinery and stuff in there. That the vac train is in there. We had the vac train on our territory once in a while to help us with the mud. So they suck up the mud, and then we have to replenish it with fresh ballast. They don't do as good of job as the undercutter does. The undercutter is a huge machine that really undercuts the bottom of the underneath the track and sifts out all the crap and recycles the ballast. But
really? That's pretty interesting.
But however, because of fiber optic, um, they have a hard time undercutting uh, a lot of rail lines now because of the fiber optics and stuff. You don't want to cut any fiber optic cables because that costs a
Yeah.
lot of money. You don't want to mess with them, and we always were hesitant on even digging around fiber optic. We always had to get locates and had to have all that stuff before we even did little work by fiber optic. So um, actually, so the vac train, yeah, and then the vac truck is a smaller version. It's a truck that Halter brings in, and they vacuum up spills and stuff like that. And we used to have to call them out the mosquito yard all the time for grain and stuff, and clean up yard cleanup stuff, and but a lot of grain sometimes because the geese were awful down there. And it just was, yeah, clean up a lot of stuff once in a
Yeah.
every so often.
So that's the thing, getting up the grain and anything else that might
Yeah.
attract animals, right?
Yeah, and then any other spills. Twice a year we had cleanup day, where everybody got together and cleaned up, and then we got lunch or whatever it may be, and kept the territories pretty clean. We kept the territory clean anyway. We, especially myself, when my foreman was there, who I got mentored by, we always kept a clean truck, organized truck. Um, I'm a clean person anyway. I had one of the most organized, cleanest section trucks on the territory, and I'm not afraid to say it,
Yeah.
because first of all, supervisors like that because you're organized. You know what you need. You got everything you need on the truck in case you get out there, and do something when you only have 30 minutes to do it. You know where everything is.
Right. You know where all your stuff is.
And plus, like clean truck anyway. You
Yeah.
live in it practically, and so we took pride in our trucks and stuff. Now, a lot of the guys liked working for that worked for me, liked that we kept an organized section, because when you got to other crews that didn't, didn't have our trucks set on. You went in there, you spent like 10 extra minutes trying to look for a
Yeah.
piece of material, or you wasted that 10 minutes of your time ahead of Amtrak that you needed to get that job done. And one time we were changing out a frog in a switch, um, up at Lake, and we were helping out another crew, and the supervisor got upset with the other crew and says, at least to cut a section, which our section had the material on your truck, they're always prepared. And he was
Yeah.
mad at the other crew, and I mean, we didn't brag or show up anybody, but that's how we ran our section crew. I mean,
You're
so
ready for whatever comes your way, right?
exactly, we always had our material on. We always went at the end of the day, loaded up our truck with what we needed, or if we needed something, we let our supervisor know ahead of time. We were always on it when it come to that. So
Yeah. So what happens like when you have spills and you don't know what it is, like a powder chemical or powder of some sort? What happens in that?
if you're not sure, we really never came across it too much, but if usually the operations department usually got wind of it
So
first.
you guys wouldn't get okay, gotcha.
If we did, we'd report it to our supervisors right away, and they
Yeah.
contact whoever needs to be done. You know,
So is that a big deal for the railroad? Like if you see like, you're out rail fanning, right? And you see this big long streak of white powder or whatever on the center of the tracks. Is that a big deal?
not 99.9% of the time, no.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's really critical, the railroad will get it taken care of. I mean, because of public safety and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's chances are no. I mean, like I said, if I'm trackside, and I got quick means of communication directly to the dispatching center on a couple railroads around here, obviously. So like if I see a grain door open and a train going past and it's
Sure,
spilling,
yeah, that's pretty important.
I'm actually gonna call the dispatcher direct because I still got the numbers,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna tell them what car number it is and everything else. But for regular rail fans, if you see something really not cool or out of the ordinary, gates down, nothing coming, or anything like that, please call that
right
number
there,
on the single bungalow.
right there, that little blue plaque.
Yep,
See it
yep.
above my head?
Yeah, call that blue plaque, but there's a lot of bungalows will have numbers on also. So
Yeah,
just call it in if you don't see something right on the railroad, and you know they'll be glad
yeah, they'll be.
more than not to
Yeah, it's
look
just
into your request.
yeah. I mean, don't call them for stupid stuff. But
No, no, don't
yeah.
call them for stupid
Don't,
stuff.
don't call them and ask them when's the next train coming. Okay.
No, they don't have time for that. I wouldn't want to be a dispatcher. I really wouldn't want to be a dispatcher. They
Hey,
got a lot of stress.
I'm at this crossing. When's the next train coming?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you get hung
don't
up
be
on
doing that.
real quick.
Yeah, don't. The police might pay you a visit.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not.
I miss our old company police officer. He retired a little while ago, but he started in the track department in Sioux Line, and then came over to the CP. But he liked rail fans because rail fans were the eyes and ears for the
Right.
railroad besides us, and
Yeah.
he got the respect of a lot of rail fans, and then he was really, not everybody's going to be nice.
No.
Human beings are human beings. Not every
Yeah.
police
Yeah.
officer is going to be nice. However, most of the time they're not. If you're really nice to them and you ask and you obey the rules and everything else, hey, they're human too. They're going to chit chat and say
Yeah.
hi next
Yeah.
time, and don't get on their bad sides. Don't get on railroaders' bad sides. All you do is respect the railroad, follow the rules as even a rail fan, and hey, you know, it goes a long way. It goes a long way.
Yeah.
Another great guy. Another great guy. I'm going to give a shout out to, which I'm hoping to see him, meet him this year or next year, hopefully out in California. Is Mark McGowan. He's a retired signal maintainer from the Southern Pacific, Union Pacific. He has a great channel. He's
Yeah,
a old railroad retired worker too, and him and I have been chatting, email messaging, but I'm looking forward to hooking up with him too because he's a great gentleman out there too.
See you, Randall. Yeah. Yeah, he's got a good channel. I forget what I was going to say now. Ooh, but it'll come back to me. But yeah, so it's been pretty cool. And you have a premiere at 6:30, right? Eastern
Six
Standard Time.
6:30 Central Daylight Time, 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time. So,
Okay.
everything's everything we keep in Central Daylight Time on our end. I don't know why we always did that on the railroad too, our Central Standard thing. Well, actually, we use military time on the railroad, so. But yeah, we keep it Central. I don't ask me why, we just do.
That's okay.
So next week's premiere is going to be very involved, and that's a department I know a lot about, of course. And this video will be pretty cool. It's most likely going to be a two-part premiere. I don't. That's going to be too long, I think, to get it in one. I won't give too much away, but I think everybody will be very interested in it and enjoying it. I think it'll be very informative and things like that. And we will have Dave and Jenny both aboard to answer any questions on the live chat, on the live premiere chat. So next, and we do every week. We have good premieres every week. We try to change it up. And keep everything fresh and interesting. And we try to keep it that way on our channel. And each time we try to get something different. to kind of cater to everybody. Now we do weather also on our channel. Not a lot of it because we haven't had a lot of it up here lately. I am a Skywarn storm spotter. I have been for 30 years.
Oh, really?
I did indulge in some storm chasing here and there. I'm kind of wanting to get back out, hopefully, and do it a little bit. But this year, I want to get storms and trains together. So we're hoping that can work out for us this year. So we
Like
do have,
storms and trains at the same time?
yep, and that's why we have our Facebook group page called the Weather Rail Forum. And
Ah,
StormySky Rail Productions, like I said earlier, came up from a guy that ran Milwaukee area Skywarn, who has passed away unfortunately now. StormySky putting two of our interests together, and we created that name together. So, yeah.
yeah, that's
Um,
good. Okay.
so we have
nice.
a couple weather videos under our weather playlist on our channel too. So everybody can check that out. Feel free. Plus, we do a lot of other things on our channel too. We go to museums. We do model railroad stuff.
Yeah.
We go to these other places that have operations railroading. And this year, we're hoping to expand that. So we got a lot. We got a very busy year upcoming, and there's just not enough hours of the day for what we all do. It's a lot of
Yeah.
video editing, and we work our tails off.
It's a lot of work editing videos.
Yep. So yeah, I've seen a lot, and had a lot of experiences. But one important thing, before I forget to stress, is if you don't have to be on the railroad tracks, don't. You expect a train at any time, any direction, any location. And we don't want to see any rail fans get hurt, killed, or anything like that. Situational awareness, because that doesn't only affect them, and then there's lawsuits and there's money, and it's just a lot of nonsense. So just respect the railroad property and then your situational awareness, and you'll have a great time with the hobby. So I had to get that in before I forgot.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, and something I remember now, when you guys are out rail fanning, filming crews and things, try not to get the crews' faces in your videos. They would
Yeah,
appreciate it. It's not cool.
yeah. Well, one recommendation from being me on the other side and knowing the ins and outs of railroading, uh, you know, everybody's watching now,
Yeah,
and the railroads, and I'm going to say it because the railroads pay people to watch social media, and I don't want to get any of my fellow brothers and sisters in trouble,
no.
and I don't want them to get themselves into trouble. And rail fans can incidentally, without even knowing, get somebody in trouble and they don't know about it. So
Yeah, they don't know.
just be careful. Make sure they got all the PPE on. I was at Ohio, and I'll give an example. I was at Ohio on our trip, and that's the day we met up with Pappy Trigoglin. And there was a cool train coming local with this Conrail caboose on. And I love Conrail. That was one of my favorites besides Chicago Northwestern when I was growing up. And I want to video this so bad while I was shooting. Well, unfortunately, the CSX manager was there with two FRA inspectors. And I'm like, oh, man, really? So I know from that side of it. So as they were walking away from the track onto the other diamond on the other end, I asked them, this is how professional I am. I asked them, I says, I know where you guys are at. I got time on the Canadian Pacific. I know that end of it. I shot video because I really wanted that train, and you guys are in it. Is it okay if I publish this video on our YouTube channel? So I asked them, guys. I didn't have to, but I was more professional about it. And them guys, even FRA guys, says, yeah, we're all in compliance and everything. I said, okay. So and now if they were not frowning upon it, unfortunately, I wouldn't have had to put that in. So that's my respect of knowing the insides of a lot of that stuff compared to me just being a rail fan.
Yeah. So if a train crew says they don't want to be on video, respect their wishes. Don't put
And
them on
they
video.
got editing software now. You can blur out the faces too. So if you
Yeah.
accidentally get
Yeah.
them in
Yeah.
and you really want to publish it, you know, and two, that goes for not only now. I've been doing this because I know what to edit out and what to keep on a lot of things. You know, when I edit my videos, so I like to pick up the detectors, the trackside detectors. So I have the radio next to my videoing equipment. And if I feel say something's not appropriate for the channel, I won't put it in, and and stuff like that. So when you guys are videoing and you have radio stuff going on too, that's another thing to be aware of. You guys might not even know what you're doing. I mean,
Yeah.
listening to
I'm guilty.
not what you're doing, but what you're listening to,
Yeah.
and inadvertently. I'm not saying you guys all don't know what you're doing or whatever. I'm not saying that you can
I'm
video
guilty of it.
video, record, whatever you want to do, but just be aware of the railroaders got families to go home to. They got a job to do. They got money to earn for their families. And if they're not out, if they can't work, that hurts all of us, even us retired people. So that's just a little recommendation, a little, heads up to everybody. One thing I will mention, and I will do this on record, because I know somebody out west does not do that really out to either. Us railroaders really are sensitive to the radar gun situation. When a lot of the rail fans have radar guns and they're posting it, us railroaders have enough people watching over us. We don't really need any more. If somebody's watching and they see a speed, and what if something happens with something might be happening, a missed thing with PTC in their locomotive. And if somebody gets upwind, they get disciplined, and it's not even their fault. And inadvertently, you don't know. You could have posted something, and they got in trouble because of that. So always keep that stuff in mind. Coming from a railroader myself, railroaders really don't
might,
like that.
it might seem cool to see how fast the train's going, but it's not too cool if they're speeding.
I got a question there, Corey.
Yeah.
Yeah. We at the beginning of my career, you've seen a lot more hobos and sleeping in boxcars and stuff down in the yards. At the end of the career, you hardly see any hobos, because I guess they had certain gangs that actually attacked hobos. We were brought to our attention in safety meetings and stuff. So after a while, a lot of the hobo situation there probably is hobos still around, but we didn't see the frequency of them. We weren't really allowed to get too close to trespassers and people. We knew how to talk to them. We had training on that by our company police officers on how to deal with trespassers. So all of us had training on that situation because you had to be careful.
Yeah,
I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, there are some rail fans that record speed with one of them cheap radar guns as the train goes by. So yeah, some of them do that.
Yeah, I mean, if you do, I'm not saying you can't. I mean, this is America, but just be aware in your mind that it's a possibility somebody might see it, and if there's something wrong, somebody might get in trouble on the other end. And you don't want that backlash being a rail fan. You do not want that backlash being a rail fan, because railroaders will make your life miserable. And they will. And I'm just talking from experience. So just advice. This is all advice. Take it how you guys all want it. I'm not telling you guys what to do. I'm just giving you the other end of it. Even though I'm a rail fan, I was a railroader also, so I've seen both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, sure. Did you ever get a train held up or robbed out west by a gunman on horse?
No, but you know what?
Come on, Steve. Sure you did. Couple times.
That actually happened. I think it was last year on the Canadian National up here. in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, a guy went up in the locomotive with, I think, a gun
Really?
and a stopped train waiting at the signal. So yeah, stuff can happen. Yeah. So
That's
you gotta
crazy.
be it. I don't know. You hear stories. You hear a lot of stories. In days of days, you used to hear about drinking on the railroad and servicing the brewing companies and but that's all in the 70s and stuff. And then when I started, there was no way you could do that stuff. And then at the middle to the end of my career, all railroaders, no tolerance policy at all. I mean, you can even have cold medicine in your system. If we had to have a NyQuil or a cold medicine or anything like that, we had to go through medical services and give them a written statement and all that stuff. And they got really strict on that stuff towards the end here.
Yeah. Yeah, things aren't like they used to be, right?
There was a question I missed, Jerry.
That one?
No, something about the gray area.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, a lot of rail fans, and then the young rail fans too. They don't have, unfortunately, they don't have the experience that the railroaders and the adults have. And well, some of the adults can act kind of off too, but
Yeah.
but for the most part, rail fan communities got to teach each other that let's have a great time with the hobby, but let's not jeopardize the people who bring us this hobby. But it's also their lives, and it's also they got to support their families and loved ones also. So this is their job. When I was working, I raised two kids myself through a previous marriage. I like trains, but for that time period of my career, it was a job. I had to support my family. It was a career.
Yeah.
So now I'm a rail fan again on the other side of it. And I still respect my coworkers and the new railroaders that are out there now because they got jobs to do and they got income to make. They got families to support. And that's important too. So we got to always remember that as rail fans.
Yeah, sadly, there are a lot of trains hitting people now because people are walking down the tracks and they might have earphones in, and it's just like one of the things. Railroad tracks are shortcuts for people,
Yeah.
and they're not a safe shortcut for people. And
No,
yeah,
no. And the thing of it is, I mean, the thing of it is, when us railroaders need protection to be on the tracks too, you know, I'm not talking about rail fans. I'm talking about the whole public here. And throughout my career, and those of us railroaders that are watching here or whatever can contest to that, especially the older of us railroaders. Throughout society, it's been that way, but in the last 15 years or so, we've noticed the uptick of irresponsible, incomplacent people. I mean, in society, and it's scary. We're always shaking our heads like when we look down the track and oh my gosh, what are they doing? People driving around the gates nonstop. It's like you shake your head and you're like, okay, we're surprised more people haven't been killed or hurt of what we've seen every single day.
yeah,
I mean, it's in this story. I don't know if Mom and Son was here earlier, but when we kicked that kid off the track, he would have, if we weren't there at the right place at the right time, he would have got killed, probably killed 2 minutes after we were past him. if we wouldn't have been there. And that other kid that got killed with earbuds on walking across the crossing, and the train was honking his horn and everything. The kid didn't even look. So everybody has been so tuned, and even us railroaders can get guilty of this too.
Yeah.
The technology part of this, the phones and everything, you can get so distracted that if you're not careful, even us railroad employees can get killed or hurt if we're complacent. So not just the pedestrians or the rail fans, even us railroaders got to be careful in our own heads what we're doing, because things can happen just like that. And that the technology part of it is warped us so badly that we're so in tuned, and we're not situational aware anymore. And you see these people, for example, on these YouTube videos, they're on their cell phone and walk right into a pool or into a pole, or
Yeah.
and I had one individual last year walking into my cart because she was on her phone. It's like, okay, at the grocery store, it's like, really watch
Yeah.
what you're doing. So
Yeah. You see people walking around talking on their phone in the stores all the time.
yeah,
And
I agree. I agree with Lehigh River Subdivision. You know, social media is a double-edged sword.
yeah.
It's really good in a way, bringing all of us together to chat and talk like this, but it is not good either. So it is a double-edged sword. You got to balance it out, and a
Yeah.
lot of times we can't balance things out. I'm guilty of it. Everybody's guilty of it, getting warped into this suction once in a while, and you just gotta. That's why we were brainwashed on the railroad at our safety meetings. That's why the FRA, Federal Railroad Administration, we could not have any electronic devices on us uh, while we were working on our personal phones or that, because after that accident in California that year, the FRA cracked down on everybody. Even supervisors got in trouble for being on their phones while following the tracks. So
Right.
people, rail fans and all,
Yeah.
be aware when you're around railroad tracks. If you're on, we've seen rail fans and trespassers on phones on the tracks, next to the tracks. Don't, because we can't even get in trouble for that, really badly, and you can get killed really easy or hurt. So just be careful, everybody. I don't want my fellow rail fans or pedestrians to get killed and stuff like that. It's not pleasant. It doesn't make
No.
a good day for anybody.
No. Not. That's for sure. The digger said they have a lot of TV warnings for kids, and they go around the schools. So here they don't have many TV things,
No,
but
here either. Here either.
Operation Lifesaver does go around the schools,
Yeah.
talk to kids, but I don't think it really happens as much as it should happen, because most of those people volunteer to do that. They're volunteers.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not paid by Operation Lifesaver.
Right. Yeah. It's volunteer. We had my youngest boy, when he was going through driving school. Um, One of the Union Pacific upper managers here did that on his own. He taught to driving schools. He gave a presentation in driving schools, driver's ed, about railroad safety
Right.
for my operation. He was a lifesaver operation volunteer. Um, but yeah, they should be doing it a little more. But I don't know. How much can you drill
You
and not,
can't.
you can't, because what you drill in
Yeah.
somebody's head,
Yeah.
you got to actually visually see stuff. They got to actually be almost graphic with this stuff to get it through to these people, because
Yeah. But even at the same time, right? You're driving your car on the highway. There's an
yeah,
accident on the other side, and people slow down to see what's going on over there,
papers,
and
yep,
then they just back up to speed right after they're done. So
yeah.
it's like it
I
doesn't,
mean,
like, people are so insensitive, and I don't know the right word for it. They see so much violence and whatever around them, gore and everything around them, that they're just immune to it. you know.
And another people, another thing people have to realize is even the public, of course, especially the public, the rail fans kind of know because they're part of the hobby.
Yeah.
And a train cannot stop on a dime.
No. It's like a big truck. A truck can't stop. You know, but you know, people still pull out in front of trucks and cut trucks off, and it's just everybody's in a hurry. You can't wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes for the train. You got to go around the gates, and
Yeah,
you know, it's just people are just in such a rush anymore.
yeah. I know. There's
Like,
no.
they risk their lives
Yeah.
for what? For
And
nothing.
so another thing, us railroaders, especially us in the track department, a lot of us railroaders at the time when a lot of this whistle ordinance crap came out, and I'll put it like that. This no horn ordinance is a bunch of garbage because
Yeah,
every railroad crossing in this country should have horns. I know
yeah.
in other countries they're designed that they can have a little bit because their crossings are set up differently.
Their crossings are
Our,
different in the UK. Yeah,
exactly. Our situation over here, and I'm not speaking, I love the horns, don't get me wrong. Yeah,
yeah,
I know a lot of rail fans like the horns and stuff, but I'm talking about an aspect of safety.
yeah.
Is the train, you still hear horns when there's no horn ordinances because the engineers or the train crew always has to, if they see a reflectorized vest, they have to toot, they have to alarm. That's FRA rules. Or if they see contractors or something by the railroad tracks, they have to lay on the horn. But in my opinion, and a lot of other my colleagues' opinions, and not every single person, but a lot of them feel that horns should still be here.
Yeah. Like there's the FEC Bright Line down in Florida, George Florida Railroad. We've talked about this before. They have large sections of rail that go through neighborhoods and street crossings, you know, grade crossings, and there are no horn zones. You have these commuter trains on the Bright Line that are now they just tested for over 100 miles an hour,
Yeah,
and they don't have horns. There's no horn zones. So you got people that are just going around gates, and 100-mile-an-hour train gets up on you really fast,
yeah.
faster than you think it does, and people are dying regularly down there from trains hitting them at these crossings.
I
So
had a
it's not good.
no. I had one that brings me to a point. One year when we had a switch grinder, I'm going to get back to the switch grinder. I was flagging crossings to stop traffic. Another guy and I, we were flagging crossings to stop traffic so the grinder could come through, and then when the gates come down, and all that, so we got it clear so we can come right through and keep going. Well, this idiot didn't disobeyed us, and he flew right through, almost hitting me. So I got his license plate number at the crossing. So we were at the other crossing down the line, and a police officer was sitting there watching traffic. So I went up to him, and I gave him a license plate number. I said, "This guy almost hit us at the crossing, blew right through our flagging protection." He went on his computer, typed in his license plate. He said, "Thank you very much. He's got a surprise coming in the mail."
Yeah. Karma's a bad thing, man.
Yeah,
What's up, Mystic? Closet Branch? Yeah, fatalities are bad all the way around, that's for sure. Yeah. Yeah, rubberneckers are no good, man. Yeah, that's what like kicks me, right? You see this bad accident in the southbound side and you're traveling north, you slow down to look at it and see what's going on over there. Like, you know, it's like a NASCAR wreck, right? But you're back up to speed right away, you know? So
yeah,
it's like, yeah, people just, like I said, they're desensitized to it all. They see it so often and they just become numb to it. They don't really think anything's going to happen to them. Who we got here on the panel? You don't know this dude? Come on, man. It's Stormy Sky Steve. Maybe, a lot of people probably don't know Steve because they don't really see Steve. Like they
I
might see me in my videos.
I started indulging in videoing myself and stuff, and I've camera shy a little bit. And then I got more and more, and then I guess
Yeah, you just
CCRX Dave out in Pennsylvania was right in my own realm. I was like talking crazy, it was
yeah.
comfortable. So I had to get comfortable on this. And the more and more I'm doing it, the more comfortable I'm getting it. So eventually out in the field, I will be talking more during the trains and stuff. But uh, I have to step out for 1 second. I'm going to bring Jenny in here to say hi to everybody. I have to
Okay.
step out for 1 second.
Okay. Hi, Jenny. So this is
Hi.
Jenny. Hi, Jenny. How you doing? Did you catch any good trains today?
Oh yeah, a bunch of them.
I hope we don't have to wait 2 years to see them.
I don't
That's
know.
that's a joke. Oh, that's cool. We'll see what you get, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You guys usually put when you see your trains in your descriptions.
yeah. Usually in the description, sometimes in the video caption that comes up, I'll put it
Right,
in there
right.
too.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was Mystic, were you joking around? Really didn't know who we had here, or you're just
Is he joking?
I don't know. Is he joking? I don't know. But yeah, like I said, I mean, Steve isn't in. You guys don't really get into your videos that
No,
much, right? Which is fine. I mean, yeah,
no.
it's no big deal. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't. A lot of people that don't say anything in their videos either.
Right.
That's
Sometimes we
fine.
do.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's okay. I mean, you get comfortable after a while being on the. Because really, you're just in front of yourself. You're not really in front of people, right? I mean, we're just in front of each other right here, but I'm not really in front of. I don't see the rest of the people over there, so it's like I'm just talking to myself, really.
So actually, everybody's getting to see Stormy Sky in person. It's great that we're able to get on here and share some stuff and my railroad background and answer any questions. And I'd love to do it again. It's an honor to have me aboard and just talking my experiences and
Oh,
it's great.
it was it was fun having you. Thanks for you know talking about it before in one of my live streams, and it just like as an idea that popped into my head, and yeah, it was cool. Thanks for coming on.
Well, I'm not done yet. I just
Yeah,
need
I know, but I'm just saying, get out of the way, Jenny. Come on.
to. There you go, everybody. It's a free comedy show.
Yeah. So here's a question for you guys.
Yeah, the fan is fine, right, Jerry?
No, I don't even hear it.
Okay, it's hot in here. It gets hot in this room. It's all the computer equipment and everything. So
You see that question?
how many people run Stormy Sky Rail Productions? Well, there's myself, Steve McCarthy, my wife Jenny McCarthy, and we have Dave Nitch, who was in the chat earlier, but he had other obligations to go to. He lives about I want to say 60 miles north of us in Plymouth, Wisconsin. So he helps us out quite a bit. He's a good friend of ours. He helps with video. He lives along the Wisconsin Southern Plymouth sub, so he gets a lot of the short line videos from here.
So where do you guys usually rail fan? Where does like your common spot for rail fanning?
Common spot for Jenny and I are the Canadian National Waukesha sub here in southeast Wisconsin. It's close to us. It runs right in our backyard, right in town here. We can get up here quick if there's something hot coming. A lot of times I'll go to Plainville on my old territory where the CP crosses the CN. Talk with a lot of guys up there. Dave, he goes up. Wisconsin Southern was right in his backyard, literally across the street, and he gets a lot of stuff up here. There's a lot of time, we go to Rochelle, Illinois, where the UPMB and SF cross.
Oh yeah. How far is that for you guys?
Hour and 15 minutes.
An hour and 15.
Yeah, about that.
That's not-
Interstate,
that's not bad.
all interstate. Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's short for us. I don't know. First, we've been to Ohio twice, and we got a good friend out there.
How far is Ohio for you guys?
I want to say 5 hours. Well,
Okay, so it's a good,
well, the only thing of it was we got to get through that pain in the rear traffic of that big city south of us. If it wasn't for that, we'd be out there sooner. We got to go through Chicago all the time. So,
really, so Chicago is the only way to get there.
yeah, basically the only shortest way to get there. It gets, you got to go through there at the right time. Yeah, Ohio, we had a great time in Northwest Ohio. I've been there twice, and a lot of people say, Ohio, why do you want to go out there?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know. For some reason, Northwest Ohio, I really enjoy. I mean, that's, I don't know what it is.
There's a lot of good rail fanning up there. Like, I mean,
Yeah, there is. And
it's just crazy the amount of diamonds there are just in that area up there. And, I mean, I rail fan here in Pennsylvania, and I don't think, to my knowledge, there's nothing like that here in Pennsylvania where, you have 4 diamonds in one area, like you do. What is that, in Marion or something, or one of them?
well, when we went on our week trip last October, we had a full week out there, which is great. We did some. It's in our one of our premieres. We did a year in review. A lot of we met up with a few channels out there.
Right.
And then we got to finally meet Pappy, so we got to meet him out there. And then one of our other friends, good friends, he's an engineer, locomotive engineer. We got to go by his house and hang out with him and do an operating session. And his home layout, he's got a huge thing. And I told Jenny, I says, I don't want to go home.
Yeah.
There's so much to do out here. I was raised here in Southeast Wisconsin. When I was growing up, rail fanning was just awesome here. You had trains everywhere.
Right.
But the industry left so much around here in Vankin, and the trains just disappeared. The CN is just running crazy up here. But in the aspect of things, it's like that everywhere, though. If I was born and raised in Ohio, I'd say the same thing. Oh, there used to be so much here. Well, there's not much here compared to Ohio, and there's more for us to do in Ohio to keep our hobby busy than there is here. But actually, we have a lot here too that we have going on. I mean, at home, this is where we're born and raised. And we have family up here that is getting older and we need to take care of and stuff. But if there's ever a chance to relocate out there, I think Jenny and I are ready to hit the door and go.
Go to Ohio?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Ohio looks like I want to visit Ohio. And
I like Pennsylvania. I finally got out to Pennsylvania when Dave invited me out there to ride along, which was awesome. I wish I would have been out.
You really didn't get to Pennsylvania. You got to the beginning of Pennsylvania.
No, I know that, but so I finally since I was little, when I was younger, I wanted to work for the Chicago Northwestern. I hung around them, and I told you last night that some of the stuff that with the Chicago Northwestern guys and stuff. But I wanted to work for them, and I'm kind of glad I didn't. Now I'm kind of glad I stuck with CP. But Conrail was my other favorite. I love that blue, and that's what I grew up with. And so I've always wanted to go to Horseshoe Curve ever since I was like 6 years old. So I finally got out the Horseshoe Curve last year. And Altoona and stuff. So we really are hoping.
So was it what you expected it to be?
I didn't know any better because that's my first time out there, and my favorite locomotive is the EMD. I grew up with the FC40-2s. humming and whining away. I love how they work. I love them how they sell more than a GE, and the pushers out there, and just the atmosphere. I love the hard working locomotives, the way they sound, and just music to my ears for some reason.
Yeah, they work out there.
But yeah, it's just I loved it. It was great. I liked it out there. It was beautiful country.
Yeah.
Jenny and I are hoping to get back out there this year. People are asking for another ride along with Dave and I, so I'm hoping we can get out there and do it again. And I want to get back out the Horseshoe Curve, and if we get out any further, I want to hook up with you and hang out with you. Trust me, we do.
Yeah, you got to come further east.
Oh yeah,
man.
I know.
We can go hang out with Ian and catch the Redding and Blue Mountain up there.
Yeah,
and like in the east part, there's a lot of tourist railroads that you can catch here.
Right.
You know, I mean, theoretically, you could probably catch, you know, if everybody's running at the same time, you know, 3 or 4 railroads that run steam, you know, which is pretty cool. So Mystic had a question. Do you guys have a layout?
We have a crap load of HO stuff. We got DCC. We belonged to a railroad club 5 years ago, and we quit just before my open heart surgery because we didn't know what that was going to entail. I tell you the truth, I wish we could have our own layout here, but we just don't have enough room. We have all the stuff. That's another reason why I wish we could go to Ohio, because we could run on that certain individual's layout and have operating sessions. We like the home. I forgot the term they call it. You go to somebody's house, they have running sessions and stuff.
Yeah, obsession.
Right. We like that more intimacy operating session than we do the club. The club, me being, and I found this out with a lot of clubs, even museums and stuff. Railroaders want to operate a certain way, whether it be on a train layout or a museum or what. They want to operate because we want to operate like the real thing, because that's what we're used to. But then you get rail fans and enthusiasts who want to operate their way, and you get kind of this headbutt. And sometimes it's just not fun. You know, you don't mean to be that way, but us railroaders are so instilled to running realistic, you know.
You're not changing. Cause a Branch had a question. You still working for the railroad?
At heart, At heart, I want to work all my life.
You're always a railroad worker, right? But he's retired.
It's in your blood. It's always in your blood. You can't get away from it. But unfortunately, I had open heart surgery when I was 7, and my heart valve kind of took a dump a few years back, and I needed a heart valve replacement, blood thinners, and it disqualified me for working for the railroad anymore, especially working by myself. Easy to cut myself and bleed out. So I got my 25 years of pension, and I'm on just disability retirement now. And there's days I wish I still was there. I liked my job and stuff, but the way the railroad is kind of now, it's not as fun as when I started. But it's still a job, and I still loved it. I still like going to work, and I do miss it. And there's days where I miss it. I'm not gonna lie. I loved what I did, but it's people like Jerry and Dave and a lot of other people that helped me get out of this 4-wall situation. And I'm not, you get depressed sometimes, because it's pretty much ripped away from you, your career, your livelihood, your love for life.
You did something every day, and now you can't do it every day.
Exactly.
So you still want to do it. Right?
And this gives me the opportunity, guys like Jerry and Dave, and that give me the option to open up and share with what I did, and share what we did out on the railroad, and in safety aspects for future railroaders or rail fans or whatever. I mean, I love doing this. This is great. So you guys opening up the doors for me and different locations and in part of YouTube. We're not here with our YouTube channel to make millions of dollars. We're not here to be fame and glory. We're all professional. We're very polite people. We just like having fun and I like continuing my railroad saga, but in a different way.
It's a little different. I've never heard of the Eon Valley, Corey. What's have you ever heard of it, Steve?
No, maybe Jenny has in the other room. They're listening. So,
Yeah. How about you, Jenny? Never heard of it. You ever a rail fan there, Corey?
oh, you
No?
know what? I
Sure.
think I seen a video, Jerry, on Eon, Pennsylvania, and I think I don't know, Corey, was it you a couple months back that I answered a comment, he replied back, and if we were ever out that way, we were going to hook up and show us. If I'm correctly, I think there's so much going on every day. I don't remember a
It's
lot
hard
of it.
to
I just
remember.
remember vaguely.
Yeah,
So,
I don't remember what I said 5 minutes ago. Yeah. Homestead. Now I've heard of Homestead. I've heard of Homestead. Yeah, that's the best, man. When you can that's one of the things I like, I guess, about Ohio and parts of New Jersey. North Jersey is the same way. You can catch CSX and NS running side by side,
yeah.
track, and
Mhm.
that's like, man, that's like awesome, man. It's like you just constant trains, man, constant trains.
So I want to bring up something. A lot of comments when we post videos from Deschler, Fostoria, all the diamonds. I get tons of great comments on our videos. We get great comments, but
Yeah,
I answer a lot of them that I post. But all the diamonds are awesome. They make great noise and they're cool. Yeah, diamonds are cool. Don't get me wrong. They're a neat railroad infrastructure. But me being a section foreman for the longest time and track inspector and having to take care of a diamond,
a lot of work,
I
man.
don't miss the diamonds. I mean,
Yeah,
they're cool. Rail fan, bringing the rail fans and the rail enthusiasts, the aspect and the coolness of it. But actually working on the diamonds, I don't miss it. I don't miss diamonds. Yeah,
yeah,
they're cool. I'll agree with the rail fans. They're cool. They're interesting. They're neat. But maintaining a diamond, that was a nightmare. They take a lot of pounding.
yeah. Come on, give them up, Corey. Don't keep holding them on. Don't keep holding on to them. You got to give up those places. That's cool though. Yeah, but see, like people, I don't like the sound of a diamond. I don't. It does. I can't stand that sound. That constant pounding. But I
Well,
do like the fact that you get trains going east, west, south, and north.
yeah,
That's cool. That is the cool part to me of a diamond. Where you get so much action, and it's coming from four different directions, right?
right.
Uh,
I
but
I
I
still
don't like
wear
the pounding. Yeah,
I still wear earplugs.
yeah,
When I'm at the diamonds and stuff, I still wear earplugs because when we were maintaining our diamond at the Plainville, the CN or WC at the time too would go past, or our train would go past, and man, your ears after a while just. And we got hearing tested every year, so we made sure we have earplugs. Even when I'm doing stuff outside of work at home or helping my dad with a project or even when I was off company time, we always took our safety home with us. We had earplugs or a chainsaw or whatever. I mean,
yeah,
that was we took our safety with us.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if you're safety motivated, then you do. I am not safety motivated, but yeah, but that's okay. Yeah, we all
And
have things.
also, everybody check out anybody that's on here. Please feel free to check out our merchandise store. We have coffee cups. We have clocks on the back wall there. We
Yeah,
have t-shirts. Everybody feel free to
go
jump in
check out the
and
merch store.
look at it.
Up at the top is Stormy's link. Go check out their channel and all. Yeah, so it was cool. It was a good.
There's
What did I
lots of
do fast?
there's lots of good projects coming up this year. We got a lot in the books for this year to work on, people to meet, places to go. Um, it's just our schedule's crazy. Um, there's not enough hours in a day. I mean, You know what? From the older guys that retired from the railroad, and that one of them was afraid to retire. He wouldn't retire, and railroad retirement actually laughed at him because he was losing money, and because he was working. Come to find out, he didn't want to retire because he had to work harder at home because his wife put him in garden. So he stayed at work, and so. But I'm finding out that medical retirement, even it's you're busier now. And I was working full time and raising kids. I'm like,
yeah.
What's the matter here? I'm supposed to have a little more downtime. That's not the case. So
Well, you gotta kick back sometimes.
yeah,
So,
I gotta kick.
Here's a question for you: do you ever go rail fanning and not video?
Yeah, not so much anymore, but I have not so much anymore because I know how important it is to get video for the channel. Like I said, we try to plan ahead of ourselves because if something happens, like let's say something out of the ordinary happens to our schedule, and we can't um, get something published. At least we have stuff on the books ahead of time,
Oh yeah.
so we can coast past that day. I mean, let's say a family emergency comes up and we got a couple of days where we can't do anything. At least we got that cushion. So I love videoing. I used to love photography, and I have a lot of photos. And actually, up on the wall behind me is a CN photo and the lights. I actually, it's got a blue ribbon on it. I entered it in our East Troy Camera Club competition. It's a PSA competition. It's a worldwide judging competition. So I took a picture of a CN train coming at me during the snowfall. It was really nice. It was cool shot, and it was show your pictures to enter. So I did. I said, I ain't gonna get whatever. So I brought some. So that photo came back a winner. I'm like, wow, really? I didn't expect it, but it won the PSA competition. I'm like, wow, for transportation. I'm like, real wow, okay. So I used to take a lot more pictures. So what we do now with our channel too is, in the future we got different projects, different ideas, and we got a lot of video slideshows with music. We have creator mix. We do Epidemic Sound is all royal free music we subscribe to, and we have a lot of fun with editing. I've gotten really good at video editing. I'm learning a lot more and more and more, which is really cool because I'll be honest, on the record off railroading, when we first got on our Facebook page and we were running it and stuff, when I was typing, even at work, we had to do everything on computers. I was this, just
back,
this, back. Now it's like I type so much now, I'm just like going crazy. So it's a process of different things, So I'm learning a lot of stuff, and I'm not a technical savvy guy by any means. But we have a great couple friends that are great IT guys that give us a hand on that behind the scenes, and they're really good friends of ours.
Right there, that is a good suggestion, Corey. There's I don't know of any app that talks about hotspots in
That's a
areas.
good idea. Yeah, it's a good idea.
I don't know of any.
I know Trains Magazine used to put that book out of hotspots, but I don't know if they updated it recently.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Corey. Why don't you work on that?
We'll subscribe to the app.
Yeah,
And if we have any ideas, we'll give you a shout. On what Rail Fan good spots are is.
Yeah. Ian likes editing too. I hate editing, but that's okay.
I didn't at first. Like I said, I'm not technical savvy.
Yeah.
And I used a really basic program at first, and I got relied on that too much because it was too easy. Well, we got this new program, and one of our friends said, Steve, you really need to. You got talent. You got good talent, and go for it. So I did. I went for this the editing software you use now, and I love it now, and I use it all the time. I don't even use the other one anymore. So yeah, I found out I really enjoy videoing more than I like photos now. I hardly take a lot of photos anymore. I do take a lot of photos, but like 2 weeks ago, we finally got snow up here in Wisconsin. A good 4 days worth of snow, so I had to get out and get some footage because
Get some
a lot
photos.
of people like that. So
Yeah.
I went out, but I didn't take any photos them
I
4 days
know.
because I didn't want to fight with keeping camera lenses dry while futz around with video and stuff like that. I just wanted to take video and different angles, and we do a lot of different stuff. So,
What's up with that? Wigwag, you loser. You're a real hoser. That's all right. At least your shop is clean. Not that it matters.
uh, so anyway, yeah, so we got different stuff on that, and I love video editing, and I love interacting with such great people on this platform of YouTube. I like communicating with people. I like sharing things. You know,
They all
just,
take a lot of time to do, though. That's the one thing, you know.
I
It
tell
takes,
you, YouTube is very demanding.
it takes a lot. I
To
mean,
be successful.
yeah. I mean, it. You know, you could take it both ways, right? You could spend 8 hours on YouTube responding to videos and comments, and or you just respond to some. You can't respond to everybody, and it doesn't. When people comment, it's appreciated, but it doesn't mean that you're not noticed if you don't get a reply. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Some
Yeah.
people expect a reply all the time, and if you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. Don't get your feelings hurt about if you don't. I don't. So it just isn't. It, there's only so many hours in a day, and yeah,
There's not enough hours in a
yeah.
day.
There's not enough hours in a day just to do a few things that you have to do, let alone the things that aren't necessary to do.
There's a lot that go on behind the scenes at Stormy Sky Rail Productions. That I mean, we do a lot. We take a lot of pride in what we do at this channel. We in our videos, our editing, we're very professional. My opinion, me personally, everybody has their own style of video. Everybody has their own style of producing. Everybody has their own style. Me personally, I was taught this through the Skywarn. I helped teach the Skywarn classes up here. I was taught by a very good teacher how to be professional on our group page or anywhere. Be professional at what you do. So we brought that to the table here at Stormy Sky. We're as professional as we can be. We're very polite, and we want to have fun, and we want to reach out to people if they enjoy our material. Comment, that's great because then we know what we're doing good. And if we need to do something different, an improvement, everybody please have a recommendation or stuff, and we'll try if we can. Anything, because we're all learning still through this, but we're having a great time with it, and we're meeting some great people along the way.
Where you been, Heath? We've been sitting here waiting for your questions, and we didn't have any. We've been talking to ourselves for the last hour and a half.
So we have premieres. We have premieres every Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. We're gonna have one tonight, and next week's premiere. Who's ever joined us late? Next couple premieres. I'm not gonna let the cat out of the hat, but you guys don't want to miss it because it's a really cool and informative couple episodes coming up. There's a lot of work involved in these two editing, and a lot of discussion.
I think Wigwag would really like it. That's my hint to everybody.
So yeah, and I'm not. We're not begging anybody to come over. If you can't, you can't. Whatever. But we're just kind of getting the word out. We got a couple cool premieres coming up. So we put a lot of heart and soul in these premieres when we started them up, and a lot of work goes into them, and we take a lot of pride in them, and we just don't want to throw. We're not a type of channel that just wants to throw out whatever. You know,
I do.
I mean, everybody's different. You might, Jerry,
Yeah.
somebody else might. But me
Yeah.
personally,
Nah,
my
yeah.
opinion, I would get more gratification if I
Yeah.
put something cool again. You know, just I
No,
don't know.
it's cool.
It's just,
Yeah, everybody's different, right?
yeah.
Everybody's different.
What works for you, Jerry, might
Yeah.
not work for us.
No,
Might work for us might not work for somebody else. It's all
it
different.
don't work for me. I can tell you that
But
much.
you know what? We're all in it
Yeah.
together, and we're
Yeah.
all in
No.
it
Yeah.
to help each
Yeah.
other. And we're all in here to have fun,
Yeah.
right?
I'm not here to tell anybody how to run their channel. You run your
Uh,
channel any way you want
yes,
to run your
I
channel.
got to
Right?
answer to this question.
Yeah. You ever seen one?
Yes. So I'll go way back in time when we lived a half a block away from the Chicago Northwestern when I was growing up. We had circus train come from Baraboo, Wisconsin, up to Milwaukee for the circus parade. We got to see that every year for a while. It ran right past the house. I got to see it all the time. We had when I started for the CP, and I can't remember what year that was that they ran it up here, but they stored the train in our yard, and I was maintenance gang foreman. The Ringling Brothers and Bailey Circus train. They had
Yeah.
them stored up here while they did a couple shows. So I didn't get any pictures, obviously. That is one thing I regret from my railroad career is when we could take pictures for the most of my career.
Yeah.
I miss not taking pictures.
Like that. Yeah.
I wish I would have took a lot more pictures during my career. I took
Yeah.
I took a lot, but I wish I would have took a lot more.
Especially early on
Yes.
when the
Yeah.
railroad
Lots.
was still kind of fresh
Yep.
from the Chicago
Mergers.
Northwestern days, the
Yep. Mergers.
merger, things were
Yep.
still fresh.
Yep.
Industries were still there. Stations, freight stations, buildings, industry, like I said, was still there. And now it's gone. It's
Yep.
gone. And it's just a memory now.
You,
And Heath talked about, the circus train. I can remember going to see the circus train every year here in Philadelphia when it would come down to South Philadelphia on CSX to the CSX yard. We'd go down, watch the train come in, watch the parade of animals and all the parts for the circus come by, and it was a big thing, man. It was like really cool. And
yeah.
I gotta say, out of all of rail fanning things, I miss that the most. I miss the circus train.
You bring up a good point, Jerry, on our conversation here because, you know, I really wish we had the technology now and go back in time and visit and have a whole bunch of cool stuff because now the young rail fans now unfortunately don't really know the cool aspect and we don't either from our predecessors of what the you know through generations but the younger rail fans like all the EMDs we see all the cool different power all this I dumped rock with old Milwaukee road units and I got to see all this old stuff and cool stuff before all the pre-merger stuff and there was so much to do, so much to choose from. Now, when we get rail fans, they say, "Oh, trail fail, we ain't getting pictures of that unit and stuff." We go out and get it. Who cares if it's trailing? Because you never know when you're not going to see that unit again, or something special again. And now I tell Jenny in fun, I says, we complain about the GET4s. I personally don't like them. I'm not a locomotive engineer, so I don't know how they run versus this or that. But me personally, on the noise end of it, I like the EMDs, the way they sound better. But I told Jenny, I think maybe we should cherish some of these T4 stuff because down the line, we might have a locomotive that we can't even hear. So I like that noise, and a lot of people like that, heavy noise of the railroads, So we got to cherish each day of what we have because we don't know what we're going to lose in the future. That's my point to all the rail fans.
Back in the early 80s when the G1s were still running on NEC, I used to go to Trenton, walk from the station, and I have never seen one running in person. Yeah, yeah. I mean, back in the '80s, they used to run the GG ones, or like late early '80s, late '79s. So like you talk about like things that were there that aren't there anymore. There's this little section of probably 20 miles secondary track here that used to be Pennsylvania Railroad, Reading Railroad, all in this one area. And this little bitty section used to have over like 73 or 93 industries that they served
Wow.
in this
Jeez.
little area, like from like it's on the river. So Baldwin Locomotive Works was there, Sun Ship was there. All these industries that used to be there that are gone,
Yep.
totally gone. Like, awesome photos that I see, from old rail fans from the 70s and 60s
Yep.
when, you had Reading running side by side with Pennsylvania Railroad, literally side by side. It was so busy down there. And hey, Sparky, what's up? And they're gone, man. They're gone. So, the next thing that, is going to be gone is the Amtrak Acela. It's going to be gone soon. So, like, if you're out there and you have the opportunity to get photos and videos of it, get them because they will be gone very soon.
Well, such
You're
as
never
an
going to catch them again.
such as an example, Jerry, of what I was talking about earlier in your chat last week or so. I went out and made sure I got that Triple Crown train because those are the last two to run
Yeah,
in Wisconsin. I would have never seen them again, and I said
yeah,
I want to go get one or two of them. Those are cool trains.
yeah. They're
And
awesome.
we used to have when I started for a railroad in the Milwaukee area, we had like switch jobs like crazy. We had like 6 or 7 switch jobs running at once. And when I ended my railroad career, we only have one switch job left in Milwaukee. That's how much industry we had. Tower Automotive, the old A.O. Smith, the truck frame up in Glendale, Wisconsin. We had huge trains that went up there, 215 with coil steel, empty rack frame, truck frame cars and stuff. And then we had 214 that went back with all the truck frames and stuff. I mean, all that's just a ghost town now. Everything's just a ghost town.
Yeah, Jeepers Preachers. Yeah, I'm talking about the Chester Secondary. Chester Secondary, man, it was just like hopping, bustling little secondary that
Mhm.
Pennsylvania Railroad had, and yeah, it was just
We do have
yeah,
we do have a new railroad up here that got spun off by a regional railroad up here. That's Wisconsin Southern. It used to be a short line. Now it's by Waco. But Wisconsin Southern's a cool short line regional railroad up here in Wisconsin and northern Illinois. And they spun off a new railroad called the Foxy, Fox Valley, and I forgot the other northern term of it. But it's in the Fox Valley towards Green Bay, and that they're actually revitalizing a lot of rail lines that were abandoned up there and
yeah,
stuff. So actually, that's a good sign. I think these class
yeah,
ones are starting to kick themselves in the rear end because a lot of these short lines and regionals are going to start popping up, and that's how they want it. The class
yeah,
ones, our railroad included, wanted one port to another port straight through. They wanted all these little short lines and feeder lines to feed through to them, and that's
yeah.
it.
I mean, it's
So
pretty evident, for the class ones and what they're doing, and how they're shortening their crews, less on the train, bigger trains, what their direction is and where they're planning on going. You
mhm.
know, it's just it's written on the wall. You know, I mean, it's
Right.
there, and
Me
it's
me being a me being a rail fan, um, and this is the rail fan part of me talking, not the railroad part of me. I know why the railroads aren't doing it, but whatever. That's beside the point. Um, I like how the short lines and regionals take care of their locomotives. I like how a lot of them
yeah,
have older power, and
yeah,
great rail fanning the regionals and short lines. It's very fun watching them guys, and I'm hoping to get out this more this year and catch Wisconsin Southern and some other stuff where we're out.
Yeah. Hey, Rick's Railroad. So out here we have DCR, Delmarva Central Railroad, which is a small part of the SWP and what is that one out there, Corey? The SWP, the ACR or something? It's all the same railroad, short line railroad. And these guys, like, they must like wash their engines weekly. They're like spick and span clean. They're just beautiful locomotives, old EMDs, and they just take so much pride in their equipment that it shows. And like you said, there's a lot of these small short lines that rely on these old workhorses from the railroads past that they don't see a need for them anymore. The SD40s and the Jeep 38s and the Class 1s, they don't have no need for them, but these small railroads do. And they take care of them.
It's good to see, and I wish they would develop a program. I wish they would have, because you see a lot of these graveyard areas, and there's so many EMDs and stuff sitting around, but they don't want to do the PTC stuff. And I have my opinions about PTC, but I'll kind of keep that because it's just a lot of guys, not just me, are about that. But a lot of PSR kind of, have a lot of influence and things too. But the PTC killed a lot of the older power. A lot of railroads don't want to invest the money to upgrade all the locomotives. They invest in new ones for probably a tax write-off. I don't know.
So I hear an echo, but answer Heath. No, that wasn't Heath's question. Heath, you should take a shower more often. Your girlfriend might like it. How about that question? If you had to give up one aspect of railroading, what would it be? Give up one aspect of it.
Yeah, maybe clarify maybe a little bit more. There's a lot of
rephrase that, Heath. So I don't know that this is a true statement, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? I just don't see a Class 1 railroad going back to that type of service that small industries need. I mean, you'll get local things,
No. Well,
but I just don't. I don't because they're just not. I don't know.
On the bigger aspect of things, I know for a fact the Canadian railroads, CP and CN, they already told us, point blank management has. They want all our floaters off. They want to run as fast as they can from one side of the country to the other, point A to point B. They hardly don't want no switching in between. And that's coming from our railroads. Now they want fast. They want port to port. They want to get stuff. So what they do is, if our railroad or Canadian National or somebody would do in the past, this is the past. I don't want what they do right now, but in the past they would fix up a line for more value and then get rid of it. So they'll put ties in or whatever they need to do just to get it going and forehand, but
and sell it to somebody else that's going to run it, like Genesee and Wyoming or something.
Yeah, but they'll have an in between where they can get some of that profit too by transfer stuff.
Yeah, so, sure, it's an interchange thing.
Yeah, they'll make it happen. They'll make it happen sooner or later, but
they're still making money, but they're not making it. They want to move cars and move freight. They don't want to go spot cars.
So is this the new rephrased question?
I guess it is. I don't know. I don't know. Heath's got a lot of questions sometimes.
I don't know. rail fanning, I got other hobbies. I mean, I got other interests. I got other hobbies. I mean, for sure. And this is my only, even though I would give up rail fanning for $1 million. Yeah, I would. But the desire to actually railroad and do my job, it's in my blood. I can't get rid of it. But rail fanning part, yeah, for $1 million, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, and there are some like really cool little railroads out there, like Indiana State,
Yeah.
that Wisconsin one you mentioned, and
The chicken railroad out in
you know,
Indiana.
like down by Rusty, you got they're running those Rock Island and the
Yeah.
Mississippi Delta Railroad. You know, there's so many cool little
I love the
railroads.
baby blue locomotives that Rock
Yeah,
Island had. Those are
they're
cool.
awesome. They're my favorites, the Bankrupt Blue. But they run them down there. They
Yeah,
run
I
them
know.
down
I want to get down
there.
there. I want to get
Yeah,
down there.
I want to go down there too, man. It's like they're
There we go.
awesome.
Road trip, Jerry. Road
Yeah,
trip.
and they take pride in them. They keep them clean.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
You know, and it's like, yeah, I get it. You know, the class ones, they don't have time to wash the locomotives like
Hey, it's money and
rail fans would hope they do. And
money,
it
money
comes down
washing.
to, yeah, it comes down to they're moving freight and that's it. They don't care.
Yeah.
As long as the locomotive is moving and they got crews to run them, that train is moving constantly, man.
Yep.
Yeah, so somebody asked this, but you can answer it again. Do you have your own model railroad, and do you
So
want your
I,
model railroad?
when I was growing up, I had a lot of model HO stuff. I modeled CNW and Conrail. I modeled a replica of the Northern Railcar Corporation in Cudahy, Wisconsin at the time, and refurbished my own railroad cars and all that stuff. And then I worked for a railroad. I didn't have time. I raised 2 kids myself most of their lives. I didn't have time to do all that. Now my current wife and I, Jenny, we've belonged to a railroad club for a little while. We got a ton of HO equipment. Hopefully someday in the future we'll get back to the modeling part of it. But right now we're having way too much fun and not enough time with growing the YouTube channel and getting material out for everybody to enjoy. So, but we do like model railroading too. But you know, right now at this point in our lives, we don't have time right now. So.
Yeah, it's always, you wish you had more time in the day to do the things that you like to do, but you got to prioritize. Yeah. What are you going to do? How it is. You got a premiere in less than 10 minutes, right?
So at 25 after, I'll have to sign off and get
That's
over
cool.
to our premiere. So,
And we'll end
hey,
that.
You know what, Jerry? This was awesome.
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun hanging out.
We'll have to do it again. We'll have to do it again.
Yeah, if you want to, you can do it on your channel. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Here, there. Yeah, it was cool. It was a good show. I think people enjoyed it. And I'm sure you got some more stories, and I have some more guys that I want to talk to.
I got stuff. But if anybody has any last questions, feel free now.
There's our last question for you.
If you ever want to model in one scale, we don't have no place to put anything in the backyard, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, every rail fan would love to have a model, or would love to have a caboose in their backyard.
Yeah.
Keith, you would like to have a caboose in your backyard, wouldn't you?
You know what, though? You know what? We have the East Troy Electric Railroad Museum's tracks literally right across the driveway. So, I mean, what more can you want? So we get moving equipment on our behind our property. So
yeah, you just can't hang out in it, but
right. Well, I could if I want to. I could go up there and hang out.
All right, I'm gonna do that. Where's that at?
So I'm gonna say my last words, Jerry. Thanks a lot for having me. Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining the chat here with Jerry. He's a great guy, and was a pleasure talking with everybody, and I hope to do this again. This will be fun. You know, Jerry's got his channel. We're on here as a guest, but feel free to check out our videos at Stormy Sky Rail Productions and our playlist. We got lots to choose from. And just remember, everybody, next week, Saturday at 6:30, we're going to have an awesome premiere coming up, a couple weeks worth. But we have a premiere every Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time.
That's okay, Sparky. You can go back and watch more, or watch the beginning where he talked his stories. He had some good stories, Sparky. You would enjoy them. That's a link to his premiere that's happening in 5 minutes. Go over, check him out. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out and stopping by and listening to some stories from Steve. Steve, thanks for taking the time out of your busy day to share some stories with us. We appreciate you and Jenny stopping by. And Dave. Dave came by. We appreciate you guys.
And thanks again, Jerry.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. Y'all have a good evening. Take care. Go see StormySkys premiere. And be well, be blessed, and talk to you guys soon. Peace. See y'all.
All right. Bye.